9 to noon weekdays.
I did record it. I just say
Upstate. WORD Spartanburg.
WFBC HD3 Greenville, the official sports voice of the Upstate fan. CBS Sports Radio. An Odyssey station.
Man, check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Get robbed.
Only on
The Fan Upstate.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. The big show is on the radio. This is the Rob Brown Show right here, live on the Fan Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, all around the world on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Put it on all your digital devices and, of course, on the internet at thefanupstate.com. What's happening, y'all? Great to be with you. Happy Thursday morning. We are busy. My goodness. Do we have stuff to talk about? And a relentless amount of mockery to send in the direction of the New York Jets, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I am going to have some fun with that. Because there's nothing that entertains me more than an inept franchise, except fans making excuses for it. That's the only thing. The only thing that makes me laugh more than a team that just cannot get it right is when the fans of that team routinely and consistently make excuses for why that team can't get it right. And boy, howdy, when we got off the air yesterday, when we were going to the end of the show, the discussion was Tyreek Hill, member of the Kansas City Chiefs, was in the midst of a trade discussion between the Chefs, great googly moogly, and the Dolphins/Jets. And it looked like he was going to be the AFC East. And for a hot minute, it was like, oh, the Jets are right there. The Jets are in discussions. And then he goes to the Dolphins, which is fine. The Dolphins went all in on Reek, and that's phenomenal. Except for then the social media outpouring from Jets fans started. Oh, it was because of the salary cap, and it was because of extra taxes, and he didn't want to come to New Jersey because Florida doesn't have income tax, and yada yada yada. No, it's not. It's because the Jets are so bad that Reek went, more money's good, but also I got to be it. First off, I got to live in New Jersey, and then second off, I got to play for the Jets. No, I'm all right. I'm good. Great stuff. We're going to talk about that later on. Huge matchup for U.S. soccer tonight. For the first time in a while, they travel down to Estadio Azteca in Mexico City to take on El Tri and the Mexicans. Hopefully they put the L in El Tri. And Greg Berhalter made it known to the media that he was in serious thought about just playing a B team and taking the L in that one to rest up the starters for a game against Panama coming up this weekend. And I have an enormous problem with that. I'm going to tell you what it is coming up later on in the show. Ronald Acuna Jr., an absolute stud for the Atlanta Braves, who, of course, missed a good chunk of the World Series run, including the World Series itself last year, thanks to a busted-up knee, is going to be missing at some time this year for the Atlanta Braves in the regular season. Looks like about a month. I'm going to tell you why coming up later on in the show. Stick around for that. Coming up at 9:20-ish, question mark. Coming up around 9:20 this afternoon, or this morning. I got to use, it's not the afternoon anymore, Rob. You're on in the mornings now, pal. Coming up about 9:20 in the morning, we'll be joined by Rashad Beard. He is the host of the Panther Nation podcast. I found the Panther Nation podcast shortly after I moved here. And if there's a dude I like talking Panthers football with more than Rashad, I haven't found him yet. Love Rashad. And if you're a Panthers fan, you can not miss that interview. That's coming up here in, we'll call it about 18 minutes from right now. Rashad is phenomenal. And we're going to talk to him in a little while. And then today at 11:20 a.m., we have a big interview for you. And I mean quite literally big. As Paul Wight of All Elite Wrestling, you older wrestling fans may know him as The Giant. You may know him as The Big Show. Regardless of what you call him, you will call him a legend. And we got the chance, Lonzo and I did, last week to sit down while we were off for the NCAA tournament and do an interview with Paul Wight, a.k.a. The Big Show, a.k.a. The Giant from All Elite Wrestling. Coming up at 11:20, we're going to roll that interview for you. Paul told us a couple of things. Number one, told us whether he prefers to play the role of the face or the heel, which is a question I love asking of wrestlers. Do you rather be the good guy or the bad guy? Because everybody's got a different reason and a different reason why. Paul Wight will explain that to us. Paul also, without being prompted, by the way, without being prompted, told us who the biggest bully in All Elite Wrestling is. And when a 7'2", 400-pounder calls you a bully, you're doing something very right or very wrong. We're going to tell you who Paul Wight says is the biggest bully in AEW. And Paul Wight got really upset with Lonzo about something he said on the air. Like went on for a minute about what Lonzo did wrong, and it was unbelievable. I got that audio for you coming up here at around 11:20 this morning, so make sure you stay tuned for that interview. Well, it's The Big Show. Paul Wight. Before we get to any of that, let's introduce the young man on the other side of the glass, in charge of button switches, levers, knobs, gears, pulleys, wheels, and other simple machinery that keeps the show running as smoothly as it does. Playing the role of the great one today, T2, Tim Snow, in on the ones and twos. What up, fella?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Good to have you, big dog. How's life?
Life is great, man.
Super good to hear.
Great. I love my life.
Super good to hear. I mean, you should. You're hanging out with me for 3 hours, you know?
Yeah, it's not too bad.
No, listen. I do understand that most people require to be paid to hang out with me. All right, so I respect that you're here. Is all I'm saying. T2 is going to be here rolling the show. Texas says it's weird hearing you at this time. I heard your voice and I thought it was lunchtime. Yeah, welcome to the new time slot, ladies and gentlemen. If you missed the announcement yesterday, or you were out of gear radio, or you had something better to do than listen to the Rob Brown Show, ? Really? This is our new time slot, as we are now the Fan Upstate, a CBS Sports Radio affiliate. Rob Brown and this show move 9 to noon. Jim Rome in the jungle, taking you from noon to 3, leading you in to Offsides with Mark Ryan, 3 to 7. I am super thrilled to have you here on the Rob Brown Show in our new time slot from 9 to noon. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk sports, shall we? I'm not going to sit here and run you through a whole nother day of, we changed everybody. This is the new. We did. It is what it is. This is where we are. The show's going to kick as much ass as it's ever kicked in the past. It's just going to kick ass earlier in the morning now. That's all. You're welcome. Let's go. Let's do the damn thing. All right. But you know what? We're going to talk sports, but this story blew my mind. Yesterday, we talked about Mike Tyson, right? Talked about Mike Tyson potentially getting into a fight with Jake Paul. A boxing match, not just like a regular street fight.
Which would be awesome to see.
Oh, yeah. First Paul fight I'd ever spend money at. All right? First one I'd spend money because I want to see Mike Tyson make Jake Paul eat a cross right and take a nap in the center of the ring. Of course I want to see that. Well, somebody else wants to fight Mike Tyson. We don't know the dude's name because Mike Tyson was at a comedy club earlier this week. He was at a comedy club, sitting in a chair at the bar, just, being Mike Tyson, listening to a guy do some comedy, etc. When this guy walked in, random dude, walked in. Mike was sitting in the front row of a comedy club, having a drink, watching some live local comedy. Big fan of that, by the way. Get out and do some local comedy if you can. Mike was just sitting in the front row, and this rando walked up to him and tried to chat him up. Now, that's going to happen. Right? You're Mike Tyson. Of course, people want to talk to you. Of course, people want to talk to you. So this rando comes up and starts talking to Mike Tyson, and TMZ found the footage. God, I hate TMZ. But this is the source, so I got to cite him. Video from TMZ said that a man walked up, started chatting up Mike Tyson, and then started saying that he wanted to fight Mike Tyson. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say right there, I'm not a psychiatrist, nor did I stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night. But if you got to the point in your life where you decide that you're just going to approach Mike Tyson in public and try to throw hands with Mike Tyson, you are one of two things. You're either a certified badass or probably need a therapist, right?
Or really dumb.
Yeah. One of those three. The guy challenged Mike Tyson to a fight. According to people that were in the comedy club, he wanted to do it to elevate his status. Now, I'm a big fan of social media, all right? I think social media, large and in part, is good, all right? There are times when social media goes absolutely toxic, no doubt about it. But also, social media is used for a lot of good, right? We talked about the tornado that touched down in New Orleans the other day. I'm looking at people organizing huge charity drives and fundraisers and recovery and assistance efforts via social media. Like, it can be used for good. But the problem is with the influencer generation, consideration for others goes out the window. And what's preferred is things that get me a reaction online so I can get famous and make money. And it works because we follow these idiots because we are also idiots.
Or trolling.
Yeah. Which is what? Which is getting a reaction, right?
Yeah.
Which
It's the
is
same
getting
thing.
a reaction. So this guy wanted to fight Mike Tyson in order to get a reaction. Well, shockingly enough, turns out Mike Tyson, even if he doesn't have no money, has people around him whose job is keep crazy people away from Mike Tyson. So the guys around Mike get up and they're like, hey, bro, you got to back up. Like, chill, relax. Mike Tyson's not going to fight you in a comedy club on a weeknight. Calm down.
Not for free.
Yeah. Well, the host, and this is the other thing you're going to learn, ladies and gentlemen, at some point in your life, there's an old rule in it used to be a newspaper, and that rule was don't screw with somebody who buys ink by the gallon, right? And the new rule, the updated rule is, don't screw with somebody with a microphone, because 90% of the time, if somebody has a microphone, there's a reason they have a microphone. There's a reason that somebody else decided we want this guy to be the voice of this room, right? Don't screw with the guy with the microphone. It won't end well. And even if they're an idiot, they have the ability to talk to everybody in the room. You don't. So, this guy rolls up to Iron Mike, tries to talk to him. His boys try to talk him down. And the host of the comedy club was like, this is a comedic opportunity.
Yeah.
And starts cracking on the guy. Like, bro, you're going to fight Mike Tyson in a comedy? You're going to go you're just going to walk in and try to fight Mike Tyson.
Yeah, that doesn't sound smart when you say it like that at all.
The baddest heavyweight son of a you-know-what in the world. And you're just going to roll up and be like, hey, Mike, what do you say? A little sparring match right here at the Yuckle Shack? What do you say, Mike? Let's do this thing, right? Well, the guy didn't take kindly to the comedy club host mocking him. So he did what every reasonable person does, Tim Snow. He pulled a gun.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Middle of the comedy club, goes to the waistband, pulls a pistol, racks it in front of the club. Everybody in the club, of course, as is the natural reaction, starts diving under tables and chairs, screaming, sprinting out the back. You know, like people do when a crazy person pulls a gun.
It's ridiculous. How are you going to challenge somebody to a fight and then pull a gun on them?
Here's the best part of it. Do you know what Mike Tyson did? Nothing. He sat in his chair and just looked at the dude. Hey, Mike, I want to fight you. Hey, Mike, let's fight right now. Hey, Mike, click. Mike just sat there in silence and stared at the guy. Well, the dude, as many people who pull a gun do, the dude goes, oh, oops, I have screwed up here. And puts the gun away and is like, Mike, please don't call the cops. You know what Mike does? Mike sits there, hears the guy out, pulls him in, gives him a hug, embraces the guy until the guy breaks down, and then just lets the guy leave.
Wow.
Mike Tyson.
Wow.
If that story ended with Mike dragon punched him and ripped his heart out, you'd be like, yeah, Mike Tyson. Mike brought him in for a hug, embraced him, and then let the guy go. Holy crap, Mike Tyson.
I mean, I'm speechless over that. I mean, that's really cool, actually.
All right, we got to run to the first break of the show. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, we'll be joined very soon by Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, to talk a little Panther football. That's all coming up on the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate.
Sound off on the preferred home services text line.
At 71307.
Keyword fan.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show, only on the Fan.
Upstate.
Mark Ryan tells it like it is.
Coming up on a Friday Eve episode
Take
of
that one out of
Offsides
you,
with Mark Ryan.
When commercials are running,
Oh,
we
yeah,
take
yeah,
one
yeah.
out of you,
That's
too.
the one
Yep,
thing
all
I
good.
forgot.
Stream, what's up, everybody? Good morning, Steven. What's up, big fella? Ben, howdy. Good morning, pal. Steven, I have to tell you, I am very, very disappointed in myself because I did not ask the South Carolina guest what comes on a hot dog. You know what? I have screwed up my station. That's on me. My bad. I will make good on it. We will talk to Paul again. I'm hopefully going to get a chance to talk to Paul at the AEW match in Columbia on the 30th. And we will, I'll see if I can ask him there. I owe you that. Keegan, welcome in, buddy. Good morning, pal. Adam Lonzo is on vacation today. He actually had his vacation scheduled like months ago for this week before it became clear that this was the week to make the change to the Fan Upstate. He will turn himself back into us. I don't know. I said that like he got arrested. He will rejoin us on Monday, and we will get the crew back together. Man, tomorrow is the first Fanboy Friday brought to you by the Fan Upstate. Yeah, that's right. The Fan Upstate Boy Friday. Fan Upstate Friday. Looking forward to that. Keegan says, they say Mike Tyson has really grown emotionally healthy. He's a joy to be around, according to people. Yeah, you know, and it's one of those things that I'm very hesitant when I hear these stories about like, oh, this guy's a different guy, because people get paid mucho dinero to do nothing more than to rehab the images of clients, right? Like you can get paid, if you are good at PR, you can get paid a lot of money to go rehab somebody's public image, right? To make them make over their image in the public, basically. Oh, please.
Is this the we doing the StreamYard interview? Is that what
Yes, when he jumps in, but you don't have to worry about that. We're
right.
burning spec just like normal.
All right.
So I don't really trust all that, but this, man, like this is huge, dude. Because I got to tell you, if some dude rolled up and stared me down with a gun, I don't know that I would have the reaction of hug the guy afterwards. Like, you have got to have some great level of peace of mind to have a dude stick a gun in your face and then go, I forgive you, and hug the guy and not just freak out.
Well, what else is there's really nothing else he can do, though. If he hits the guy or if he hurts the guy in any way, then Mike Tyson just got in a fight with somebody.
I'm pretty sure that once you pull a gun on a dude, you lose the right to go, oh, he hit me. Yeah, you had a gun pulled on.
I mean, I agree, but I mean, just the way
let me say it this way. Hug aside, the fact that when this dude had a gun, Mike was so at peace that he just sat there and looked at the guy and just let him calm down and put the gun away. Because like, I again, not a psychiatrist, but I suspect like 90% of people who pull a gun, they're not going to
use it.
But if you catch the 10% dude who will, right? Like, you're in for a really bad day. So Mike to stare a guy down and wait till he's calmed down and then let that go. That's unbelievable, man. That's unbelievable. Josh, welcome in, buddy. Good to have you, man. I appreciate you coming by. Good morning, Rob. My 1-year-old is sitting down listening to your show, but he hasn't moved in 5 minutes. My 5-year-old also loves your show. He says, later, brother. When he saw that's awesome, Travis. That made my morning, dude. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for telling me that. What's your 5-year-old's name? I'll give him a shout out if he's listening. Let me know your 5-year-old's name and tell me when he's listening, and I will give him a shout out. Absolutely be happy to, brother. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love the fact that somewhere in the upstate, there is a 5-year-old who now tells his friends, later, brother.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. That makes me so happy. Like, genuinely, that made my day.
Yeah, it's like the best morning news I've heard all
Mhm.
day.
I love it.
On the last break of this hour, you have a health dare, by the way.
That is Lonzo's.
Oh, that's right. And QC's also his.
Yep,
right?
that's me.
Oh, that's you? Okay. That's on hour 2. All right.
Yeah, you know what? I've tried in the past to get Mike on. And in the past, Mike hasn't done a lot of interviews. But I know in the last couple of years, and I think he either has his own podcast or there's somebody else's podcast that he's like a regular guest on. So we'll try to get Mike on. Try to get Mike on. It'd be cool.
All right. 8 seconds.
Okay. So he's not on with us yet. When he is, I'll just bring him on. Gotcha. Travis, tell Tristan I said, what's up, brother? Cannot tell you how happy it makes this NOLA kid that Mardi Gras Day, I had Lonzo stick a bunch of Mardi Gras music into that folder. And now whenever Diesel and T2 sit in, I just randomly get hit with some Mardi Gras music on a Thursday at 9:20 in the morning. Makes my life better. Welcome back, folks. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Glad to have you. I'm Rob, T2 filling in for the great one on the 1s and 2s today. Lonzo will return on Monday. Dude, that Mike Tyson story it blows my mind, dude. Like, blows my mind that Iron Mike has hit a point in his life where he is so at peace with himself that he's like, hey, you got a gun. So what, man? Let's just talk, right? Let's just talk. Let's just chill. Mike bit a dude's ear off Tyson. Oh, and by the way, speaking of that, don't know if you know this, Mike runs a cannabis company now.
I actually did know that. Actually.
Okay. So Mike runs a cannabis company. And one of the, the big trend in cannabis, I'm going to sound like such a square right now. The big trend in cannabis is edibles, right? Like edibles with THC in them. Mike's company started making edibles. And the first edible he put onto the market, I can't remember the name of the product, but it comes in the shape of an ear.
That's
serious.
crazy. That is awesome.
Mike Tyson's first edibles come in the shape of Evander Holyfield's ear. Talk about a dude.
The actual ear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes in the shape of an ear.
Well, that's good branding right there.
Yeah. Talk about lean into the curve, right?
Yeah, man.
Like, lean into the skid. The most outrageous incident in the history of boxing. And Mike's like, I mean, we can. And from what I understand, those two dudes have like put it aside, right? Like, I met about, I guess, 5 years ago, I was emceeing an event for a Boys and Girls Club down in Destin, Florida, where I'm from. And Evander the Real Deal Holyfield was their keynote speaker that year. And so I got to get up on stage. It was Evander Holyfield and Jackie Jonah Kersey, who are both Boys and Girls Club's kid. And by the way, if you get a chance to support the Boys and Girls Club, phenomenal organization. Please, please, please support the Boys and Girls Club. So I got to interview Evander the Real Deal Holyfield and do like a Q&A with him on stage in front of a big group of people. And I was like, yo, Evander, I didn't say yo, I was emceeing a formal event, but I'm like, Evander, obviously you were on the wrong end of arguably the most controversial thing that's ever happened in boxing, a sport that is known for controversy in its ranks. Have you guys talked about it? Like, are you and Mike cool now? Like, is there, when you look in the mirror, because there's a chunk still missing out of his ear, right?
Yeah, scarred him for life.
Yeah, there's a chunk missing out of his ear, and you can see it. Like, it was great. The first thing when I met Evander Holyfield, the first thing I did was I kept waiting for him to turn his head, you know? Like, I wanted to throw something the other direction to make him look at it and just get a look at his ear. And once I did, like, yeah, there's a scar. Like, there's a chunk missing out of his ear. And so I could not help myself. And I don't even know if that was like a proper question to ask, right?
Probably not.
Yeah. Like, Evander, so we all see it, right? Like, you can't miss it. And basically, I can't quote him because it was a number of years ago, but basically he was like, look, man, Mike wasn't in a great place at the time. All right. Obviously, we're going to see each other because we both go to huge boxing. He's like, it is what it is. We're just kind of over it, you know? I think it basically got to the point where Mike is remorseful for what he did. I think Evander's like, you know, I'm missing part of my ear, but it's not like the important part. So whatever. I'm just chill. I'm just over it. Which was kind of cool, man. Which was kind of cool. So anyway, that was just interesting. That was just interesting. So, all right. 844-326-3633 is the new phone number. 844-326-3633. It's going to have a pattern, right? Like the old.
Yeah.
You got to
get used to it.
Right. 844-326-3663. 844-FAN phone, FONE. The preferred home services text line's open for you as well at 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN, FAN. And we will read them on the air. A couple more stories as we roll through the show this AM. We told you earlier in the week, the Atlanta Falcons have traded Matt Ryan to the Indianapolis Colts. He is now the starting QB up in Indy. Well, this is really interesting. We talked about the fact that Matt Ryan moving would free up the opportunity for the Atlanta Falcons to save $9 million and start their rebuild, right? Start the rebuild. According to NFL.com, and this article comes from Kevin Patcher of NFL.com, trading quarterback Matt Ryan to Indianapolis left, check this number out, $40.525 million on the Falcons salary cap in 2022. Well, what's the significance of that number, Rob? Well, I'm glad you asked, hypothetical listener. I just made up for this situation. $40.525 million in dead money is more money than any cap figure for any quarterback playing for a team this year. Between him, Julio Jones, Dante Fowler, and Tyler Davidson, the Falcons are eating $62.097 million in dead cap money this season. Y'all, almost $62.1 million in dead cap money for the Atlanta Falcons. That's insane. That's insane. Terry Fontenot, the GM for the Falcons, said, quote, "We are taking it on the chin this year, but taking it on the chin this year and how you look at where we are next year, it's significant. If not, if we don't do that, we could have restructured his contract or done something with his contract and kept him this year, and then we would still have to trade him after the season. Or if we keep him next year, then you're still in a really tough salary cap situation. With this, you take it on the chin this year, and it's our job to find value in free agency and to draft well and to put a good football team on the field this year, even with that dead cap. It's an obstacle, but we look at it as an opportunity, and that's our job. We're not making excuses about it. Us taking it on the chin right now, it makes a significant difference for us next year and in the future." Oh, okay. Okay. Like what? I mean, listen, the GM's job is to put the best spin on ugly situations, right? This is literally his job. It's to take ugly situations and explain to us mere mortals, here's why it's not that bad. But please tell me, and Falcons fans, I'm open. If you want to defend this, I'm open. And I've said to you guys in the past, this is why I don't like freak out. But I've said to you guys in the past, the salary cap is fake. All right? The salary cap's not real. It is. It is real. But there are so many hundreds of ways around it. That's why every year we see, oh, so-and-so just restructured his contract. Now he costs, what? McCaffrey yesterday, Christian McCaffrey. What's he, like $5.25 million off the cap because of a restructure? There are ways around it, but there is still money that has to be put towards it. I would love to explain to you how. You're going to rebuild. I'm cool with that. If your franchise quarterback was out there for next year, it makes sense to trade Matt Ryan. If Matt Ryan wanted out, it makes sense to trade Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan didn't want out, at least that I'm aware of. Matt Ryan didn't want out until the Falcons made a play for Deshaun Watson, in which case Matt Ryan went, yo, I've been putting up 4K seasons for a decade and a half, dude. Decade and a half. 4K almost every single year. And now you're just going to drop me for Deshaun? Cool, dude. I want out. And if that's how it went down, then yeah, you got to move him, right? You got to move him at that point. But can we talk about how terrible of a situation it is for you to end up in a spot where you have a guy playing for another team that is costing you more money than any quarterback playing for their current team, right? Tom Brady is not costing as much against the Bucs cap as Matt Ryan, who, by the way, is notably not the quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons, is costing the Atlanta Falcons. Russell Wilson in Denver is not costing as much against the cap this year as Matt Ryan is against the Atlanta Falcons to not play the quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. Aaron Rodgers, who just got the highest quarterback contract in history, is not costing as much against the cap for the Green Bay Packers as Matt Ryan is for the Atlanta Falcons while not playing for the Atlanta Falcons. This is the kind of stuff that I see the NFL teams getting themselves into, and I go, what? What? How did you botch this situation that bad? So the Falcons desperately need free agent help. And it looks like next year when most of this money comes off the cap, they'll be able to go on a spending spree, right? But still, 40+ mil against the cap, and no other quarterback in the league is going for 40 mil against the cap. That's just ugly. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, hopefully, we're going to be joined by Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast. And it was kind of last minute that we switched over. We will see if we can get Rashad in here to talk some Panther football. We got the big show, Paul Wight, coming up at 11:20. Stick around for that as well. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. I mean, it's early, Keegan. I did not know it was The Undertaker's birthday. That's basically what it comes down to. How old is he? 90? The Undertaker. Has there been a more, generationally beloved character than The Undertaker? I don't think there has been, right? Did you ask Alonzo about getting the stream set up?
I did. As far as I understand, I know how to do it.
Should be good? All right.
It should be good. Yeah.
What's up, guys?
Oh, hang on. I gotta get our...
There's one thing I'm kind of concerned about. But I was about to call him. Can I call him?
Yeah, that's fine. Hang on, Rashad. We got to get the board set up. Will you put router 3 in queue, please? Rashad, can you hear me, big dog?
Yeah, I can hear you.
And turn the queue volume all the way up. Put 1 and 2, or put 2 and 3 both in queue. Actually, put them all in queue. Receiver. Nope, not that one. All right, Rashad, you got me, buddy?
Yep.
All right, there you are. Perfect. Whatever router that's coming in
I'm not
on.
sure which one it is. I got them all 3 on. I'm assuming it's this one.
All right, give me one more sound test, Rashad.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4.
There he is. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, that's where he's going.
Mission accomplished.
I know, right, dude?
It's in utility, auxiliary, and program.
They move us
Take
to
a picture.
new slot, Rashad, and it's just all chaos, buddy.
It's all good, man. I understand. Trust me. Trust me.
And so this is the interview that we're doing, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And-
So we're doing this live. So I've got everything set on my stream. All you got to do is play the music to get us in, and you're done.
All right. What was the music that you needed?
Just like normal. No. This
Oh,
one's
okay, I
just
got
regular
you.
intro.
All right,
Regular intro.
And he's coming in here. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I was confused about the computer because I thought he was coming through the computer. That's why I was like stressing out. I don't need to call Lonzo. No, you just answered my question.
All right, dude. Appreciate you joining at the new time, buddy. Sorry we're springing it on you. They sprung it on
Nah,
us, but man, I love the new rebrand. I love the new content, and we got this. This is gonna be a big one, man.
Yeah, no, it works for me. I'm pretty flexible, so
Love it.
works for me.
Love to hear it.
I'm gonna give you some
Yeah,
positivity
man.
today, man.
What's that?
I'm gonna give you some positivity today.
I need
I'm
it, bro.
feeling good.
I need
I'm
it.
feeling good.
I was gonna say you feeling a little bit better. Last couple of weeks, it's been like somebody's
Feeling
got to
better,
put a tall building watch out on Rashad.
No, I'm good. We're good. We're good today, man. Some good things are happening.
I love it. I saw your boy's been skipping QB Pro Day to QB Pro Day the last few days.
Yeah, I've been right there with him. I feel like I'm standing right there on the field with him. I'm watching
I
him.
love it. All right, so if you are drafting QB, which one of the three you want?
I want Malik, but
you.
I think Pickett gives you it depends on what coach needs, man. If it's
Yeah.
the way it's looking without a starter, you got to go with the most pro ready guy. So I can understand him going with Pickett, but Willis is the guy I would put everything behind.
You can hear him okay, right?
Yeah. So just that mic will come on when
Yep, I
we
got
go
it.
live.
I got it on.
Beautiful.
I got it in program, aux, and
So you'll just turn the volume up. We're good to go.
yeah, man. I told you today was gonna be a better day.
Rashad, we got Big Show on the show later today. Paul Wight.
I saw did you have Kevin Nash on too the other day or somebody?
Yeah, we got him coming up next week.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Y'all, I feel like I'm in rare air here, sitting in the bottom with all those guys. Man, it's pretty dope, man. It's pretty dope.
We got White. We've had on both Hardy brothers now. We had on Lance Archer. We've got
Dope.
Nash coming on next week. AEW's trying to get us. I don't know if they will or not, but they're trying to get us Darby next week, which would be
That's
dope.
dope. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
dope, man. It's dope. I love it. It's good stuff.
I don't hate my job, Rashad.
No, it's pretty cool, man. This is pretty cool stuff.
We got
Or how about the Miami Heat trying to fight each other last night? Incredible.
I heard about it. Didn't see it, but I heard about it.
Apparently, Hatler or who was
Haslam?
it? Somebody told Jimmy Buckets that he wouldn't have made it in the tougher. Oh, Haslam. It was Adonis Haslam
Mhm.
told Jimmy Buckets that he wasn't tough enough to play in the old NBA, and he was this and he was that. And then Jimmy Butler just tried to fight him on the sideline.
rejoin. That's right. Rejoin. Okay, good. So yeah, around another 35 seconds.
Perfect.
No, sorry. Little over a minute.
Perfect. Oh,
Oh, goodness gracious.
fumble.
So I was trying to teach my son to play catch with a baseball, and I was using my wife to do it. Well, she missed it, and I caught her in the
Oh,
nose.
no.
Yeah, it was so
Makes
bad.
you feel better. I drilled my nephew in the nose with a soccer ball the other day. I mean, drilled him.
Well, the doctor said I perfectly broke her nose
Dude, oh,
because
no.
there was no like
Yeah.
permanent damage or anything,
good.
and it was the first time she had ever seen something like that.
That is still trauma.
It was a complete accident for anybody
Sure.
freaks out.
Sure.
All right, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate. Those of you that are just joining the show in our new time slot from 9 to noon, for the past year, I guess about a year now, on Thursdays, we have been joined by the host of the Panther Nation podcast, Rashad Beard. And Shad has joined us again and said he is happy to move to this time slot on Thursday. So our regularly scheduled Carolina football segment continues now. Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. You can follow them on Twitter at Panther Nation PC. But most importantly, make sure you subscribe to their YouTube channel, Panther Nation podcast. Rashad, my guy, welcome into the new show, buddy. Glad to have you, pal.
Hey, man, I'll follow you wherever you go, man. So morning, afternoon, midnight, I'm here, bro. I got you.
My guy. Love this dude. Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast joining us here on the show. And we got a lot to get into here, Rashad. And we start with the restructuring of the contract of Christian McCaffrey. Now, it could go two directions, right? Either A, that means that they're trying to lower that cap hit to keep him around. Also means they could be trying to make that contract more appealing if they have decided to trade CMC. Man, the more I dig into this, the more I genuinely have no idea what the future of Christian McCaffrey is. Looks like all of the blockbuster trades the Panthers were involved with have all not manifested, meaning I think CMC sticks around. But what's your thoughts on that whole situation?
Yeah, I think typically when a restructure happens, more often than not, it's to keep a guy around because you're kicking money into the future and increasing their cap hits along the way. And that makes it, to me, a little bit less attractive for a team, right? For instance, his 2023 cap hit is $18 million. And 2024 cap hit is $10 million. And 2025 cap hit is around $19 million. So it just, I think it makes it a little less attractive for the long term for another team to accept. So I think that it means that Christian McCaffrey is going to be around for the long term, which is, it is what it is. I just hope that they don't, just run him into the ground. I hope they move him around, and I'm okay with it as long as, he's not the focal point of our offense. Again, I love Christian McCaffrey, but at the end of the day, we have not won with him being the focal point of the offense. And the NFL is a win-loss business, and we got to get some W's, and we haven't won with Christian McCaffrey on the field. And so I need to get them. I need for him to be incorporating the offense, not the offense.
Rashad Beard joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. So obviously we'll set that aside for a second, because if you are going to have a focal point, I think it's got to be at the quarterback spot. And the carousel has been spinning wildly. All the vets are off the table with the exception of Garoppolo and Baker Mayfield. We have seen Matt Rule and Scott Fitterer, and for Kenny Pickett's pro day, the assistant GM and Ben McAdoo, the offensive coordinator, and the quarterback's coach were all there. Now, the Panthers are going one of two directions, either throwing up the most elaborate and unnecessary smokescreen in smokescreen season history, or the Panthers are drafting quarterback. Rashad, which direction you going?
Yeah, I think it's leaning towards drafting the quarterback. Again, I think we struck out on, obviously we didn't get Deshaun, which is okay. But we have to figure out the quarterback position. It's interesting because there was an article put out yesterday with PFF. They have a stat or a metric called wins above replacement. It means that, how valuable they value certain things, right? They value quarterback, they value skill position in certain defensive roles, cornerbacks, anything that affects the quarterback, they value, right? So they have a metric called wins above replacement. And even the off season that we've had, we didn't improve any, according to PFF, right? And it's because of that quarterback position. Until you get the quarterback, that is going to determine how much of an improvement we're going to make from last season, right? So we really need to figure out what we're going to do. And I think we have a good opportunity. I think the Panthers are in a really good place because we can essentially let the draft fall to us, or we can move up, right? And I think drafting a quarterback is the right thing to do. Again, Matt Rule may not feel that way because he's essentially on the hot seat. But from a team perspective, it is the right thing to do. Get your quarterback on a rookie deal, build around that guy, and then for the next 3 to 4 years, you can pump money into skill positions and other defensive positions and things like that to make your team a winner. And so I feel like we're in a good position, and I agree with you. I don't think it's a smoke screen. I think we're going to draft the quarterback. It's just a matter of which one.
Rashad Beard joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. So that is the next question. Which one? And I know I've been high on Malik Willis. I think you're high on Malik Willis too. But we saw the Panthers effectively bring the full house to Kenny Pickett's pro day. I think Tom Mache has Kenny Pickett as the number one quarterback on the board here. Here's my conspiracy theory. I'm going to change out the fan hat for a tinfoil hat. Here's the thoughts, Rashad. The Panthers know that as we get closer to the draft, there's more and more discussion about teams, especially in the mid portion of the first round, looking at potentially trading up to grab a quarterback. The Panthers, I think, because of what you said, Matt Rule in the hot seat, need the most dynamic quarterback that they can find for 1 year, initial success out the gate. My thought here is either they believe it's Kenny Pickett or they throw the house at Kenny Pickett so that if anybody is looking at trading ahead of 6th overall, you try to goad them into taking Pickett and leaving Malik on the board. Because I know you want a quarterback. With 3 on the board in Pickett, Willis, and Coral, and the limited draft capital the Panthers have, I don't want to move up from 6 to 4, right? Like that, because it's going to cost you a lot just to move up a spot or two. Throw up the smoke screen, try to convince everybody you want Pickett and leave Malik Willis on the board. Have you heard that there is a preferred guy out there right now for Matt Rule's staff?
I have not seen it because again, like you said, we brought the whole house to Pickett. We brought the whole house to Malik Willis's pro day. We brought the whole house to Matt Corral's pro day. And now we're going to bring the whole house to probably Desmond Ritter's pro day as well. So I don't know. I mean, they're doing a great job at kind of, holding their cards tight. And I think you're right. I think we're in a position. We got to be careful though, because there's teams like the Steelers. Steelers have also been in all of these pro days, right? And so they're way back in the 20s. They could trade up. The Seahawks need a quarterback. The Falcons need a quarterback. So you got to be careful about potentially trading back or kind of just sitting there waiting, because it's a dangerous game. If you want a guy, you got to make sure you're in position to get that guy. And I think at 6, we're in a good position to get one of the 3 quarterbacks, right? And so I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do, but we just got to be really careful. And I'm a huge fan of Malik Willis. I think he'd be the guy I would pick. However, I understand that Matt Rule has a job to keep, and he's going to need the guy that's going to be able to win day one. So I understand them going for Kenny Pickett as well. I don't know where they're going to go. I just hope that we don't, end up doing something panicky or something stupid. And like you said, trading up, that would be kind of crazy. I don't like that. But I think we're in a good position. If we stay where we are and take the best available player, I think we'll be just fine. No need to panic. Pick 6 is a great place to be. And I like it. I think we'll go quarterback. I just don't know which one.
Yeah, Rashad, I said, 2-3 weeks ago, I said, I think you can probably trade back to 12, 13, 14 and still get one of those guys, right? But now what's happened in one of the craziest off seasons in a hot minute, that's not an option anymore, because we now know that. And not only are there teams that need a quarterback, there's a handful of teams that may do what the Packers did to Aaron Rodgers, and they go, we got our guy, but we need our next guy, and we've got some flexibility with a first rounder here. Let's get this guy now. Trading back, the last thing you want to do is trade back to 14, 15, and then suddenly 3 teams jump in, and you're left with Desmond Ridder, who's a second-day guy, having to be selected in the mid-first round. And I would caution that. Let's skip ahead and talk about the free agency season. We know we locked DJ Moore up for another 3 years. That's big. Got Johnny Hecker, the punter, on a steal from LA. That's a great contract to add. I think added a couple linemen, added a couple of interior linebackers. I got to tell you, Rashad, as free agency goes, I'm looking at a solid B+ grade for the Panthers right now.
Yeah, I give it a solid B. I'm not all excited about the punter. Everybody seems to be excited about Hecker. I don't even want to. I don't even know my punter's name. We need to fix the problem. Let's get the offense going. Let's fix the defense. I know punting is cool. It's cool to have for field position, but it doesn't really matter if your defense is trash or your offense can't move the football. So again, I like Hecker, but I'm not jumping out the window. I'm about moving the needle, right? And you look at the positions that move the needle for me. You look at Deontay Foreman. Look at what he did with the Titans in replacing Henry. He did a great job. We finally have a hammer that we could turn around and hand the football off to and get that 1 yard on the goal line or on 4th and 1. Like, we haven't had that since Jonathan Stewart. So we finally have a running back that can get the tough yardage instead of having to put Christian McCaffrey back there and kind of kill him. You know what I'm saying? So I love the Deontay Foreman signing. I love the Austin Corbett signing. Got him from the Rams as well. Guard. We needed to fix our interior offensive lineman. I love that. Love the Bradley Bozeman signing. We got him for a steal, a 1-year, $2.8 million deal, which is fantastic. A guy from the Ravens who they run that power offense, that power run game. So it really appears that we are going to run the football. We're going to be a power run football, which I love. You have to be able to run the football in the NFL. So I love that. Those are the signings that I'm really excited about. And like you said, we had a really good free agency, and I give it a solid B. If we were able to lock up some of these guys a little bit longer term, I would have loved it. But, the 1-year deals, it's a negotiation thing. So I understand it. And shout out to Brandon Zylstra. We got him back too. One of my favorite guys on the Panthers. So shout out to him. But yeah, love this offseason so far. Love free agency.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. And we mentioned it kind of briefly there, but DJ Moore back, from what I understand, at least a week and a half ago too, the Panthers were in discussions with at least the Patriots about potentially sending Robbie Anderson out the door, which is frustrating, right? Because you're talking about a guy going from 1,100 yards one season down to 5, but then you got to mix that with, okay, but was that Sam Darnold / Cam Newton? Was it inconsistency at quarterback? Can Robbie Anderson be a 1,000-yard guy with another 1,000-yard guy on the other side of the table? I was most excited going into last year because I thought Carolina had, between those two guys and Zylstra, arguably one of the most talented pass-catching groups in all the National Football League, and then it just looked wildly inconsistent. If there is a new quarterback in Charlotte next year, is it worth maybe taking Robbie Anderson off the trade block to keep that unit together, or is it time to start looking at another guy on the outside?
Yeah, well, Robbie Anderson also restructured his contract, so I don't think he's going anywhere. And I really feel like you got to if you can keep those guys together and you can afford it, then absolutely. I think they've proven that they can be 2,000-yard receivers. We had that when we had Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback, who nobody seemed to like, but now they really appreciate what he brought to the table because Sam Darnold isn't the answer. But I feel like with DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, for that matter, they need a quarterback, man. Like, it's ridiculous, like, what they have to deal with. Look at what DJ Moore's dealt with over his entire career, and he's done nothing but put together 1,200 plus yards receiving season. So, like, this guy is a really talented receiver, and he should be a top 10 wide receiver. He should be mentioned with those guys, but he doesn't because he has a trash quarterback, right? And so it sucks for him, and I really feel bad for him because, and I'm surprised he actually signed an extension, because if it was me, I'd be looking to push my way out of Carolina until I can get to an offense where I can really shine. But he's not that type of guy. He's a really low key. He's not the rah receiver that those receivers are typically the divas. He's not that guy. He's a really quiet, humble guy. And again, I love the fact that he's here. I hope he continues to put together those 1,000-yard receiving seasons. And just please get him a quarterback, man. He deserves it. And I think he's just going to do nothing but shine with a better quarterback. And I think Robbie Anderson also, he's proven that as well. Right? When we had Teddy Bridgewater, he was a 1,000-yard receiver. They just need a quarterback. So get these guys a quarterback, and I think everything will fall into place.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. Follow them on Twitter at Panther Nation PC, and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. You will not find better and more comprehensive Panther talk. Anyway, Rashad, man, appreciate you working with us. We will talk to you in 7 days, my guy.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, man. Keep pounding all the Panthers fans out there. Things are starting to brighten up a little bit. Hopefully we get a quarterback in the draft and things will be better and we can take over NFC South once again. Let's do it. Positive shot is back. Positive shot is back.
Put it on the t-shirt, ladies and gentlemen. Rashad, appreciate you, big dog. See you next week, pal.
All right, bro.
There you go. That is Rashad. Listen, he said positive shot is back. You love to see it. That's awesome. All right, let's take a break. Come back, open up hour number 2. It's going to be weird next hour. Stick around. The Rob Brown Show's right here on the Fan Upstate. All right, stream, taking a quick break. We will be right back, amigos. Stay tuned. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. What's happening, y'all? I am Rob Brown. T2, Tim Snow, sitting in playing the role of the great one Lonzo today. Zoe will be back with us coming up on Monday, taking a well-deserved vacation. But we are wall-to-wall here. Remember, coming up in about an hour and 20 minutes, we will talk with Paul Wight, AEW superstar, professional wrestling legend, the Big Show, the Giant. Paul Wight's going to join us coming up in about an hour and 19 minutes. So make sure you stay tuned for that. It's an awesome interview. Lonzo and I recorded it last week, and we're going to spend some time talking with Paul Wight. He said a few things that I found interesting, including telling us who the biggest bully in the AEW locker room was and was very candid about it. That was entertaining as it gets. He also got on to Zoe about something that Lonzo said about wrestling, and it was awesome. So we'll get that coming up for you about an hour and 19 minutes from right now. I talked a little bit about this yesterday. Hey, I'm not even going. Very rare is it, Tim Snow, that I stumble on a topic that frustrates me so much that I'm like, I don't even want to talk about this on the radio anymore, right? Like, very rare. And I'm talking about in any genre, sports, news, politics, whatever. There's very rarely a time when I get onto a topic and I go, I'm done talking about this. I'm over it. I don't want to, it just aggravates me and it's not fun to talk about. And like, with rare exception, things that are emotional or emotionally charged or whatever, those are good for radio, right? Because they create conflict.
Right.
And things that I have a visceral reaction to, things that I hear or I see or I experience and I go, wow, I'm really invested in this. That's great radio.
Yeah.
But every now and then I stumble into something that I'm like, no, it aggravates me so much that I don't want to talk about it. And that's kind of where I am with this Zion Williamson story, right? Because 3 days ago, we got told Zion will not be available for the Pelicans for the rest of this season. At the time that Zion Williamson's Pelicans are a playoff team. They're in the tournament. And not only are they a play-in team in the tournament right now, as the 10th seed, they are rapidly approaching the Los Angeles Lakers to jump LeBron's team in the playoff rankings and have a better chance to make it into the real playoffs through the tournament. And then the day after that, as Zion continues to rehab that foot, and again, I'm not an orthopedic doctor, all right? I don't know what the rehab schedule looks like. But then we get video coming out of social media of Zion throwing this ridiculous off the backboard, elevated through the air, left hand to right hand, sick dunk down. And it's like, oh, well, you just brought every bit of your body weight down on that foot after high flying. Yeah, I'm sure that rehab's tough, buddy. Well, then yesterday, another video came out. This one, and now granted, I for the sake of full disclosure here, in this video, Zion's actually in the Pelicans facility in New Orleans, and he's working out with the player development coach. But in the video, he is one-on-one playing big man basketball, backing this guy down under the rim, and then going up and throwing a dunk down on the guy. And I'm like, all right. Now, again, not an orthopedic surgeon. I'm not saying that I need Zion to go out there and put 40 minutes down on the floor, right? But if you've got enough in you that you can go throw down dunk competition caliber slams, if that foot's good enough that you can play one-on-one. Now, I'm not talking about out at the three-point line crossing over. I'm talking about bodying that dude up, pushing him to the rack, and then dunking on him. You know, the thing we drafted you to do in uniform. You can put all that together. You can do all that in the facility, but you can't be ready to go. You can't throw on a jersey and play a little bit.
So he's injured. Is that what I'm getting?
So
okay.
He got banged up. He had foot surgery, which again, fine. Like, I get it. Especially at not just his age,
But he's only injured when you need him.
To play basketball.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he had foot surgery. You got to rehab it. You got to get it back to 100%. I understand a lot, and especially so early in his career, right? Because if you don't take care of this thing the right way now, there's lifelong implications. You ask anybody that had an orthopedic problem when they were, high school and college that never got it corrected, and it can have lifelong implications. And for somebody that plays as physically as Zion does, where he's down near the basket in the paint, throwing his body into other guys, throwing his body into the air, bringing down, 275 of brick house muscle onto those feet. You don't correct that now, it potentially is a career impacting problem. So I understand that aspect of it. But when this team, without you, is not only a playoff team, but is like a win and a half away from jumping LeBron James and the Lakers. And you're down there, which, by the way, I guess I owe him a thank you for showing up to the facility, because he's been up in Portland around the Nike facility doing his rehab pretty much all season. So he shows up in NOLA, and he's got enough in him to put up these dope social media videos of him hitting these wicked dunk competition caliber dunks. He's got enough in him to be able to sling his full body weight into a coach and rise up and dunk on him after a contested paint possession. But you ain't got enough to go, I'll be ready for the playoffs, right? I'll be ready for the playoffs. And somebody's going to go, oh, well, the chemistry, right? Like the chemistry, like this team without him developed chemistry. Look, it's basketball, dude. It's basketball. And at the end of the day, throwing out the number 1 overall draft pick from a few years back, a dude that's got the physical prowess of Zion, onto the floor, you're going to be better. Like, I understand the concept of chemistry in basketball. We saw some teams in March Madness, Kentucky, all the talent in the world, no chemistry. And they got bounced from the tournament by a 15 seed in round 1. 15 seed bumped the blue bloods of Kentucky. Chemistry matters. I'm not arguing that it doesn't. What I am saying is, you got 4 other guys in Ingram and McCollum and the rest of these guys in New Orleans that have developed this chemistry. I'm not asking you to change the starting 5. I'm asking you to take the starting 4 and then add one of the best number 4 or 5 guys that the league has seen in a while and be ready for playoff basketball. But they can't because reasons.
Maybe there's legal reasons why, though. Maybe as part of his contract.
I mean, look. If the Pelicans came out and said, we're not putting Zion on the floor because blank. All right, cool. But this is where the frustration grows from guys like me that are basketball fans and fans of a team. We're not getting that. We're not getting, here's the reason why. We got the last reason why he was in Portland. Well, he had a setback with his therapy. All right, I mean, cool. But at least you gave us something, even if I don't even necessarily believe it.
You're right.
I understand it. With this, we're getting nothing. We just got told, yeah, he's not available.
Yeah, you
Sweet.
just wish that, the people in charge would just, give you something.
Give me something.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that.
Give me something. My man Carter is in the Facebook chat, facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, or find the Rob Brown Show on YouTube. And you can add it to your smart TV and watch us just like the good-looking television show we are. Carter says, Zion has been such a disappointment to me. Got a Zion jersey when we drafted him. Thought he was going to be the future of the franchise and got bupkis. First off, great use of the word bupkis. Carter Carter and Keegan are the official chaplains of the Rob Brown Show. So, I respect that he's not just calling him a bum outright. Thank you, Carter. We respect that. Yeah, look, and we talked about this yesterday, so I'm not going to go way down deep this rabbit hole once again. But, New Orleans is a city that loves its Saints, but they love people who lift up the city, right? Like in New Orleans, the reason they love the Saints aren't because of the individual players within the Saints organization. They love the Saints because it's a representation of that city. And more importantly, especially, this is more true after Katrina than ever before, the fact that the Saints and the Pelicans and sports in that city went such a long way in lifting the spirits, lifting the morale of a story, of a city that was decimated by Hurricane Katrina. And so the love and celebration of Sean Payton and Drew Brees and Reggie Bush and all these guys that were on that Super Bowl team is not because they're great athletes, right? Like a lot of cities celebrate their athletes because they're great athletes and they're playing for my team. New Orleans celebrates their athletes because when the sports teams are good, it elevates the city, which is still in dire need of Bill back. I mean, it's been 12 years since Katrina, way longer than that, like 16 years since Katrina.
Yeah.
And they are still in the process of building that city back because it was
demolished.
It was devastated. Yeah. Right. And so you brought in this guy in Zion. And before that dude even put on a Pelicans jersey, there were murals of him being painted in the lower Ninth Ward. There were posters of him going out, billboards of him going up around downtown. When you went to the Smoothie King Center, right next to the New Orleans Superdome, right? The Smoothie King Center, when they built that thing, and when they were the New Orleans Hornets years ago in the Chris Paul days, the Smoothie King Center looked like the Saints training facility because it had Saints stuff all over it. And then after CP3 and AD, and they started kind of okay, we can be a basketball city, right? When Zion got there, that thing looked like a shrine to Zion Williamson, right? And I even said at the time, I'm like, as a Pelicans fan, right? Not even as a sports guy. As a Pelicans fan, I'm like, are we going a little hard in on this guy, right? Like, are we elevating the pressure on him to be a success by making him effectively the Drew Brees replacement in New Orleans by slapping his face and name on the side of everything? But that's the territory that comes with being the number one overall pick in the NBA draft. And that's the price that comes with having your face all over ESPN and CBS Sports and Fox Sports and all these outlets by having yourself promoted by these. And by the way, you benefit from that, right? Because when Zion released his first pair of Zion ones or whatever they call it by Nike, those things you couldn't find a pair. And I know because they were going to be the first pair of athlete branded shoes. Like, this guy wears these shoes. Those were going to be the first sneakers I bought since like 1994 when I was 9, and I bought with my own money a pair of Ken Griffey Jr. baseball cleats.
When you were 9?
Yeah, I was like 9.
Yeah.
Did the chores, work.
Okay, I got you. I was about to say.
No, I wasn't out working full time as a 9-year-old. No, when I did the chores and I earned the money from my allowance to buy a pair of Ken Griffey Jr. baseball cleats because Griffey he's right there. Because Ken Griffey Jr. was the coolest dude to ever play sports. Zion shoes were going to be the first shoes that I bought since I bought Ken Griffey Jr. shoes that are like one athlete branded, right? I never owned a pair of Jordans.
I've had Jordans before.
Nope, never had Jordans, never had Kobe's. I've never had any other basketball player, right? And that's sneaker world is basketball players. Never bought any other athlete branded. I was going to buy a pair of Zions and I couldn't find them, right? And I thought, the benefit with being promoted relentlessly by the NBA on TNT and ESPN and all these other outlets is that when you start making the shoes and putting your face on t-shirts and whatnot, you're going to have an advantage in selling those over other players. But then it comes with the pressure of being this. I wondered, is New Orleans putting too much pressure on Zion? But no, you benefit, you profit from that. So you wear that. And now I just kind of feel like at this point, all of the big media folks who want guys like Zion in markets like New York and LA, because they make more money off of Zion when he's in a New York or an LA, have kind of screwed us. And if that is the reason that Zion's taking so long to get back, that sucks, not just for me, but it sucks for the NBA, because it means you've only got 5 or 6 teams that are worth following.
Yeah,
and LA's one, which sucks.
I completely get it, man. I would be upset about that too.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, I got a handful of smaller news stories. We're going to rapid fire through all of those. Paul Wight of AEW coming up in just a little bit over an hour. Stick around. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate.
Get used to these levels. They're so different.
Yes.
Oops. I knew something weird about that.
What is that?
It's another bed.
Oh.
Because I had it already in. I was like, what is this weird? There we go.
All right. Mike, appreciate it, man. No worries, buddy. No
Oh.
worries. Look, we knew that it was going to be a gradual shifting over process, so we're all good. But I appreciate you being here, Mike.
You had a QC on this break. Do you want me to move it?
No, put a stop after the next commercial. I'll just do it mid-break.
All right, it's after the weather.
Carter, welcome back, buddy. It's like I said, it's kind of interesting with this time slot because I think there's a lot of us that, or a lot of y'all, I guess, not me, that, this is the time of day where you're really sitting down for a while doing work and everything. So I know it's an opportunity. You say QC?
Yep.
And we're doing it right here.
And 10 seconds.
Be right back, stream. Hang out.
He's got all kinds of like Saints and Mardi Gras stuff, and because they do one of the floats for Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
So we got all kinds of cups
That's
at
dope.
home
I
that
love
they
it.
give us.
Love it.
I have, dude, and they're awesome. They have like really cool designs
Oh,
on
dude,
them and everything.
best city in America right there, man.
I've never been. I want to go
Oh,
so
it's
bad.
amazing.
We keep saying, yeah, we're going to go down there and visit. We never get to.
Carter, I'm going to have to make one remark here. You are official co-chaplain of the Rob Brown Show, as our buddy Keegan, who I'm not sure if he's in here right now. He's usually watching the chat with us. Keegan, and you are official co-chaplains of the Rob Brown Show. The irony on that is not lost. The irony of that is not lost on me. But hey, man, that's the way it works. So Carter and Keegan, official co-chaplains of the Rob Brown Show. You may, of course, add it to your Twitter bio, your LinkedIn, your resume itself, everything you want to do. Oh, I got Mark and Diesel's names under us. Why is that? That one, nope. That one, nope. 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 There it is. Don't worry, kids. They changed all my backgrounds, so I'm learning production as we go. All right, back to the chat. What else we got? Zon's been yep.
At 90% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra. The same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay. No.
Appreciate you guys hanging out with us on the stream, man. And it's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting in that with the new time slot, like our stream numbers are up. So, you know, if that's any indication, I think this time slot is going to kill. I really do. I think we've got the opportunity to really grow this show in this time slot, which I'm very excited about. The stream numbers are definitely up. All right, here we go, kids. Josh, you're the official DJ of the Rob Brown Show. So you can add that to your Twitter handle, too. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. I'm Rob T2 Tim Snow working in on the other side of the glass with us. The Atlanta Braves, ladies and gentlemen, are your reigning, defending, undisputed World Series champions. It's been an interesting offseason for the Braves. They lose Freddie Freeman, who is now an LA Dodger. They add Matt Olson, I believe, two-time All-Star from the Oakland Athletics, to replace him at first base. And we talked about that, right? Like, Braves fans are distraught, to which I've said, look, emotionally it hurts, and I understand that. Like, emotionally it hurts to lose a guy that's been your clubhouse leader and the face of your franchise for the better part of 14 years. I get that. But don't look at it from an emotional standpoint, right? Look at it from the standpoint of, you have taken a guy and replaced him with a guy that has nearly identical offensive numbers and is probably a better defender. That's great. But not great is the fact that it might be a bit slower of a start for the Atlanta Braves, as Ronald Acuna Jr., the absolute stud outfielder, will not be playing in spring action, even as a DH, right? No live action for Ronnie Acuna Jr. during the spring. And it looks like he might miss as much as a month. He will miss at least the first month of the regular season. Brian Snitker said after the Braves game the other day, quote, "No, you won't see him in a spring game," end quote. Ronnie Acuna Jr. recovering from a torn ACL in his right knee suffered midway through last season. He expressed hope at the start of spring training that he'd be ready for the defending World Series champion Braves opening day on April 7th. There had been speculation that with the universal DH role, they'd be able to plug him at least in as a DH, which would have allowed him to play earlier than if they needed him running around out in the outfield. But the Braves had decided to continue, and this is the right thing to do for the record. Like, I know it stinks, but the regular season is long enough that it is justifiable here. The Braves have decided to take a more cautious approach to Acuna's rehab process and give him a little bit of an extra time, an extra period of time with which to get that knee right and under him. Snicker said Acuna has had no setbacks, which is the good news, right? With those ACL, MCLs, sometimes what will happen is in the rehab process, you'll get a setback with like a minor tear. It'll just be a minor tear. And with the minor tear, there's no surgery for a minor tear. You just got to not use it for a while, let it reconnect itself. There were no setbacks yet for Ronald Acuna Jr. He is still in good shape. So as of right now, The Braves have to go into opening day with an outfield plan that does not include Ronnie Acuna Jr. Atlanta does have outfielders Eddie Rosario and Alex Dickerson. They were both available at the start of spring. They also have Marcell Ozuna back. Remember, Ozuna last year was arrested on charges of aggravated assault after police officers said they witnessed him attacking his wife, which is very not good. But he is back on the team and can play the role of DH or start in left field if they need him to. I don't love having him as a permanent defender in the outfield, but they may not have much of a choice. Snicker said that Acuna Jr. is making process in the recovery. The rehab schedule does include hitting. We have seen videos of Ronnie Acuna Jr. in the batting cage, in the BP out on the field, and has been hitting bombs. Back on the 16th of March, when the Braves opened up camp, Acuna said, "I'm ready," end quote. The plan is to have Ronnie Acuna Jr. eventually in right field with Adam Duvall and Guillermo Heredia in center. Heredia, excuse me. Every time I read that, like there are some last names, you just read them and you can't help but screw them up. Anyway, Guillermo will be in center, and we'll see how that plays out for the Braves. But again, the good news for Ronald Acuna Jr., who is, I think, without question, the biggest star in this Braves lineup, right? You lose Freddie Freeman. And honestly, I think Ronnie Jr. was probably more valuable to the lineup than Freddie Freeman was before he got injured. Acuna, not Freeman. He was more valuable to the lineup. It's just that Freddie had the emotional investment of fans in being a 14-year player, a guy that had been the face of the Braves franchise while they were toiling to get back to the World Series. When Acuna went down, Freddie Freeman got even more elevated in that lineup, which makes sense, right? It makes sense. But no Ronald Acuna Jr. available for the Hotlanta Braves kind of leaves you in a spot where you got to figure out something. And again, the Braves have depth in the outfield. That's the good news, right? Alex Anthopoulos is, as far as I'm concerned, GM of the decade right now with the moves that he made leading up to trade deadline last year. Alex Anthopoulos deserves the GM of the Year award, GM of the Decade award at this point. The Braves have outfield depth, and that is good news. The problem is, how many years have we seen divisional races come down to one game or a half a game, right? And so every game that you have to play in the first month of the season with Ronald Acuna Jr. not being available, that's a half game, a game a day, unless the Braves find their stroke, which they might, right? Like, it's not panic mode because the Braves may be really good without Ronald Acuna Jr. in the lineup and then get better when he does come back. And, you know, we looked at silver linings during the lockout. We looked at silver linings for the 100 days or whatever it was that we did not have spring training or anything. That bought the Braves another full week for Ronald Acuna Jr. to train up, to rest up, to get healthy. It's not huge, right? It's not huge. But it bought them 7 more days. And in a spot where Ronald's recovery and return to the field is going to be measured day by day, 7 days is a decent little buffer window. It's not the end of the world. But, you know, look, injuries are going to happen. Every team in Major League Baseball is going to lose a player or two. Some are going to lose highlight players. Some are going to lose guys that put their tape on the highlight reel a lot. But when it gets down to it, this is not as big of a loss as some Braves fans are panicking that it is. It's really not. It's still big. There's still a lot going on. It's still arguably the most consistent big bat in your lineup not available to you for some time. And there is a lot to losing those numbers for a month or better in a division that may very well, look, the Mets are going to be good this year. In a division where it may very well come, the Phillies are going to be decent too, I think, where it may very well come down to a half game or a game at the end of the year that determines who does not have to play in the wild card round, who just gets to move through and get an extra 3, 4, 5 days of rest. That's big. So we'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it plays out. Real quick, I'm gonna talk about NASCAR coming up in the next episode. Stick with me though, because even non-NASCAR fans, I think this may interest you. But real quick, throw this out there. South Carolina's Gamecocks basketball program on the men's side picked up their new coach. We told you about this earlier this week. Lamont Paris comes out of the Southern Conference of the School of Chattanooga. Comes out of the School of Chattanooga from the Southern Conference. That's how that sentence should have been structured, but I'm bad at my job. What do you want? Lamont Paris takes over, and less than a day later, the Gamecocks lose a huge piece of their program. South Carolina senior guard Eric Stevenson has entered the transfer portal. According to the state, the two-time transfer who played at Wichita State and Washington before heading to Columbia, established himself as a big part of the team last year. He finished second on the team in scoring, averaging over 11.5 a game, tied for the team lead, averaging 4.7 boards a game, and led the Gamecocks with 60 trays on the season. Stevenson enters the portal as a graduate transfer. Does not guarantee that he will leave. All it does is opens conversation with other schools. We'll talk more about that later on. Paul Wight from All Elite Wrestling coming up in a little under an hour. Stick around. The Rob Brown Show is right here on the Fan Upstate. All right, let's see what's going on in the chat. Steven, you called yourself that, not me, buddy. I just want that on the record. You said that, not me.
All right, I'm going to run to the restroom.
Thanks, Tommy. So good to have you, buddy. I can always trust that you'll be there with love and support. Thanks, bud. Tayshawn, yeah, I would go ahead and say you are the official gaming partner of the show. Every good stream needs a game expert. That's you, buddy. That's you. I respect it. All right, taking a real quick break. Be back in. All right, we're back. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Keegan with the life advice there, buddy. Hot dogs, football, and micro wrestling. Can you do better? You absolutely cannot.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, I had plenty of time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not used to these 6-minute breaks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The shift.
The longest one I get over there is like 4, and that's at the beginning of the hour.
Remember, kids, a hot dog with chili on it is a chili dog. There is a difference.
And they're good. Just joining.
Hey, man. I like to be comfortable.
Chili and coleslaw, man.
I hate coleslaw.
What?
I hate coleslaw.
What?
It's gross, dude.
Oh, come on.
It's gross. And you can make whatever.
But
base
chili and
coleslaw.
coleslaw together?
Gross. Don't ruin chili with coleslaw. Don't ruin a plate with coleslaw. I'd rather have an empty plate and eat air.
Well, see, I thought the same thing, and then I tried it, and it was like, it was heaven, dude.
Listen, I'm from New Orleans, dude. I eat everything. Right? there is very little you're gonna put on a plate that I haven't eaten or wouldn't try.
Yeah, I
make
told that to
weird
Lonzo
stuff.
one day. I'll try anything once.
Thank
I
you,
loved it.
Tayshawn. Thank you for being correct on the internet. I appreciate it.
Was he like chili?
No, I said coleslaw's nasty. Puke
Oh.
face emoji. Yes, Mike, I will be at All Elite Wrestling in Columbia, South Carolina next Wednesday evening. I got to tell you, super not excited about getting back to Greenville at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning because they film Dynamite and Elevation at the same time. And so you basically go watch two wrestling shows. I think a 3-hour show and then a 1-hour show. So you're in for 4, and then there's going to be dark matches before and after. So you're looking at a 5-hour wrestling show, which I will absolutely be there for on Wednesday night. So then to turn around and be back here the next morning at 7 a.m., super not looking forward to that. But, ladies and gentlemen, I make sacrifices for you, the people. All right? I'm a giver. And if I've got to sacrifice my well-being to cover All Elite Wrestling in person, to be there for that event in person, and then turn around and come back to do this show, I will do it for you because I love you. Because I'm a giver. So, he said that's why I can't go. Damn time. Yeah, it's not going to be easy. But the good news for me, I've said about this show for a long time. The good news for me in this spot, is that in being paid to talk about sports, I love sports. So even if I wasn't getting up to top sports the next day, I would still be going home to catch up on the NBA, Major League Baseball spring, like all the stuff that I need to do for the show is stuff I do as a hobby. So, it's part of the reason I am so damn good at this. I'm really not as much of an egomaniac as I sound like I am.
Passionate.
Come back, hop on Elden Ring with Tayshawn and Stab. Yeah, I've honestly, I very well
10 seconds.
I don't do a lot of all-nighters anymore because I'm getting too old for them, but that's probably what's going to happen next Wednesday.
I'm sorry. 20 seconds now. Sorry. My fault.
You're all good. Yeah, exactly. It's a win-win for your boy. All right. The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. I'm Rob, T2, Tim Snow. Joining us, filling in for Lonzo. I don't know if you saw it. There's not a lot of reasons to talk about the Miami Heat on the show. All right. There's just not a lot of Miami Heat fans since the big three of D-Wade, LBJ, and the Bosch machine broke up. But they decided to give us a reason last night. They just collapsed. How about this? The Miami Heat last night, during a 118-104 loss to the Golden State Warriors, fought each other on the bench. Fought each other. Udonis Haslem and Coach Eric Spoelstra both had to be held back from superstar Jimmy Butler on the bench during a timeout. During a timeout, a camera picked up Jimmy Buckets talking to Coach Spoelstra, and apparently, according to witnesses near the bench, challenging him to a fight. It's the second random dude challenges other dude to a fight story we've had today. Jimmy Butler challenged Eric Spoelstra to a fight on the sideline during a game. That's phenomenal. Apparently, someone said something to Jimmy Buckets. Butler challenged Eric Spoelstra to a fight, and a fan cell phone camera caught the interaction during a timeout, during which Eric Spoelstra looked at the best player on his team and said, "What, you think I'm going to blanking fight you?" To which Udonis Haslam then got in Jimmy Butler's face and said, "I'll beat your ass." Amazing.
Yeah.
Haslam was so mad about the incident that he remained outside of the huddle during their next timeout, refusing to get into the huddle with Jimmy Buckets. Eric Spoelstra after the game said, quote, "It was pretty clear. We have a competitive, gnarly group, and we were getting our asses kicked for 2 straight games. We're not playing to the level that we wanted to play. Virtually every single person in that huddle was pretty animated about our disappointment and how we were playing," end quote. PJ Tucker after the game downplayed it. He said, "I laughed. I walked off the court laughing. I said, come on, let's play. We're grown men. This is a part of the game," end quote. The Warriors, who, by the way, were without Steph Curry and Andre Iguodala and Draymond Green and Otto Porter Jr. and Klay Thompson. So the Warriors C team, right? The C squad went on a 19-0 run to open the second half and took a 14-point lead. Jordan Poole led Golden State with 30 points. 30 points. Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga both added 22 as well. These guys, including Jimmy Butler, by the way, again, the best player on the Miami Heat team, who was playing a Golden State team who was without pretty much everybody, right? Everybody on that team for whom somebody that's not their mama has bought a jersey for was on the injured list last night. Everybody. Like, this is like playing an NFL team with their third team offensive line playing and allowing 21 straight points out of the halftime. Not great. Not great.
That's not good. Not
great.
good at all.
It's in fact, it's the opposite of not great. It's actually quite bad. It's actually really bad. And things got so heated that Jimmy Buckets challenged Eric Spoelstra to a fight. Now, Jimmy Buckets went on to say that Spoelstra told him that with the talent he has, but the lack of mental fortitude with which he carries himself, that he would not have survived in the previous generations of basketball, right? He's like, dude, you're weak. You would not have survived during Kobe's day or Jordan's day. Well, I don't know exactly what he said, right? But he basically said, you're not tough enough for this. Jimmy Buckets, and look, when you're playing a sport and you are uber competitive, like I am uber competitive to an unhealthy level, and I acknowledge that. Lonzo and I both said, I don't know if you're the same way, Tim Snow, but Lonzo,
I'm pretty competitive, yeah.
Lonzo and I have both said, the best way to get me to do something
is to challenge me.
Is to tell me you can't do it.
Yep.
Right? It's the best way. Now, like, not out of impossible things. Like, if you tell me you can't dunk, you are correct. I can't dunk. I am now 37 years old. My knees ain't as springy as they used to be.
I used to be able to back when I skateboarded.
Yeah, I could dunk in high school. Freaking 20 years ago.
Like when I skateboarded like every day, I could dunk.
Yeah. In high school. But if you tell me no, you can't dunk, because I'm not going to be like, oh, I'll prove you wrong. Like, yeah, no, I know. I'm not an idiot.
Yeah, go give me that stool. I'll do a dunk.
But yeah, like, you know, I part of the reason I still do this job is the number of times that people have told me, Rob, you'll never work for a big station. You'll never work for a big station. You're going to keep working for podunk, janky, mom and pop, tiny little stations in small cities. Well, dog, I now work on a prime day part in one of the fastest growing big cities in America, covering most of this area, Greenville, Spartanburg. And part of the reason why is the number of people in my life that have told me you'll never get to that point. Well, here I am, sucker.
Yeah. I mean, I have a similar story to that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Tell me I can't do something that makes me want to do that more. Well, when you challenge a dude's manhood like that, when you challenge a dude's toughness like that, especially somebody who competes for a living, right?
Mm-hmm.
We come in this business, we compete for a living. There's what, 2 other sports stations in town.
Yeah.
One person can only listen to one station at a time.
Well, all businesses compete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you're talking direct competition, it is one-on-one. There are 2 other hosts on stations. I am competing effectively with 2 other hosts in this time slot in this market. I had a guy the other day send me I want to say it was on the text line. And I didn't read it on the air because I had no reason to. But I had a guy the other day that said, Rob, you're talented, but it is a bad idea to go up against a host that's on another station in this time slot elsewhere. And as the MJ said, I took that personally, right? Jimmy Butler got told, you're not tough enough to have survived in any other NBA generation by his own head coach. And he said, I want to fight you. To which his head coach responded by saying, you'll fight me? You'll fight me? Let's go then, dog. Let's go. Let's get it on. To which the coach said, I'm not going to blanking fight you. And then another player, unrelated to that situation, said, I will beat your ass. That's amazing.
That was a great bleep out right there, too. How you did that.
Thanks, I worked on it. I'm flipping channels, and one of the talking head shows a minute ago goes, you know, was this a big deal? Is this a big deal, or is it being overblown? So let me get this right. Your head coach told your best player, you ain't tough. The best player challenged the head coach to a fight on the sideline during a game. Then a role player stepped in and told that player, I will beat your ass in a game on the sideline. And your question is this bad? Yeah!
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, that's real bad, dude.
That is a terrible situation where you, and especially, I guess, with all the eyes and stuff you have on you. Yeah, I mean, you have to react, you know?
Dude, is it bad that your head coach called a player a wuss, the player threatened to fight him, and then another player told him, I will beat your blank, I will beat your blank during a game? By the way, on top of all of that, a game in which you were losing to the entire backup squad of another team, right? If they were losing to Steph and Draymond and Andre and Clay, like the regular starting 5 for the Warriors, you'd go, hey, man, the Warriors are a threat to win the NBA title. You're losing to a potential title holder. It is what it is, right? You're going to lose games to teams like that sometimes. They were losing to their backups. They were losing to the entire starting 5's backups, allowing a 19-0 win and a 19-0 run and a 14-point lead to the B squad of the Warriors. And then the coach called his best player soft, S-A-W-F-T, soft. That player told the head coach, I will fight you. And another player said, I will kick your behind. I will blanking kick your blank. Yeah, no, I'm going to go, that's not great. Now, look, I have been in and around locker rooms at all levels, high school, college, pro. And I cannot tell you the number of times that I have seen 2 players get after each other, right? But in my high school basketball team, I hope I don't get into trouble for this, but he's not coaching anymore, so whatever. In my high school basketball locker room, If two dudes on the team had beef, you know how we settled it? We locked the locker room door. We put on boxing gloves and boxing helmets, and you went at it. And you got it out.
Yeah.
And then you shook hands, and you walked away. There are always going to be tiffs between teammates. They're hyper-competitive dudes in a hyper-competitive world that encourages and celebrates hyper-competitive. Right? Think about the players we most celebrate in the league. Who are they? Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. The two most celebrated NBAers of all time. And every teammate who ever played with those guys that's been interviewed about it have all said the same thing. It sucked playing with that guy. It was great because we won, but it sucked playing with that guy. That's going to happen. Hyper-competitiveness in a hyper-competitive environment that boosts up that encourages hyper-competitiveness, you're going to end up in a spot where guys are going to want to scrap. They're going to want to go, and that's fine. But you can't be losing to an entire NBA second rotation, have your head coach call your best player soft, have your best player challenge your head coach to a fight, and then have another player tell your best player, I'll kick your ass, dog. Yeah, no, that's bad. That's very not good. I love it. I love it when the talking head shows go, is this okay? No, it's not. No, it's not. It's really bad. Time for Eric Spoelstra to break out the gloves in the locker room and let the boys go and work it out. But it's not a Miami Heat story. This is a coach v player versus other player grudge match story because I am here for it. All right, when we come back here in just a minute, I got a couple of stories coming out of your local and professional sports just around the corner. And Paul Wight, AEW superstar, is going to join us right here on the Rob Brown Show. This, my friends, is the Fan Upstate.
Sound off on the Preferred Home Services text line.
At 71307.
Keyword fan.
I really hate that it does that. 45, right? That was, I fired that.
Okay.
Was I not supposed to?
No, that's fine. That's 100% fine. 53:45, it should go. Boom. And we should be good.
Sorry if I was a little rough. I just wanted to make sure I got the
it's all
timing
good.
right. All right, I got this now. We'll see if everything lines up the way it's supposed to, but pretty sure it will. 1, 2, 3, 4 live. Do you guys save your lives?
No, just no, you can cut them out of the recording.
Okay.
Be right back, stream. Hang out. Don't go anywhere. We got good stuff coming your way. And we're back, kids. Yes, we are, Keegan. I'll be darned. Yes, we are.
Tango Day, everybody. Follow after me. And back. And slide. And dip. That's tango.
Yeah, it's probably the heart-shaped Honey Nut Cheerios. He found out they can help lower cholesterol. Now he's having fun taking care of his heart in all sorts of new ways.
Let's see those hips move, people.
Hurry and get your heart.
Why does it keep doing that? Oh, it's already in there. Okay. Just get rid of that. I got the open after the legal ID. That's right. You don't need that set mode there. I wonder why they do that. Let's see. 60 fan Chris Evans.
The Rob Brown Show, now 9 to noon.
Chris Evans out in the hall has twice in the past 2 weeks.
All right, we're
said
good.
To me, hey man, how are the Saints doing? The first time as a joke, my head coach
No, the
just.
first time because I was
No, sorry,
actually
the first time, real
curious.
time. Yeah, the first time was real.
And you were wearing a certain
I was.
shirt, as you pointed out, because it's cold outside. But I know that people wear their team's gear when something's happening, when a big game's coming up.
Sure.
You just finished a big game or something like that. And I didn't know, so I asked. I was taking in the interest.
You were.
No, here's what it is. And this is the reason why I don't do this. This is the evil of small talk.
I have time to save it?
Small talk out, and this is the crowd
And
that
you
out.
jinxed the universe.
Yeah, I got time.
The second time I asked you, it was a bit of a joke, but then we had a really interesting conversation about it.
Then my Pro Bowl running back beat a dude's ass in an elevator, and Chris ruins everything. Don't ever ask me how my teams do it again. You have lit my stadium on fire, made my coach retire, and got my Pro Bowl running back arrested. I appreciate it.
Same break show, new time.
The Rob Brown Show.
All right.
Noon, only
20 seconds. 22 seconds.
The Rob Brown Show, now 19
All sides with Mark Ryan, 3 to 7 p.m. Real sports talk for real sports fans.
only on the Fan Upstate.
Hey, it's Rob Brown. The Fan Upstate is here. The sports voice of you, the Upstate fan. Catch my show at a new time, 9 to noon weekdays, only on the Fan Upstate and streaming on the Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
That's good. That's the legal sounder. And it should go straight into the intro, right?
An Odyssey station.
Oh, absolutely stuck it. Absolutely stuck it.
Unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show.
Fan Upstate.
The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Good to have you along for the ride. I am Rob Brown. Tim Snow, a.k.a. T2, playing the role of Lonzo today. Appreciate him stepping in this week as we continue our transition to our new brand, our new letters, our new station, our new showtime. My man said, pressure. What pressure? I got this.
Yeah. That's the best way to learn, right?
Love it. Let's go. Into the frying pan. No, what is it? Out of the frying pan into the fire?
Yep.
I don't know how phrases work. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the Sweet 16 coming your way tonight. And I mean that two ways. A, the Sweet 16 is tonight. Number two, if you are a college basketball fan, and in March, let's be honest, you know who's a college basketball fan? America! Ladies and gentlemen, America is a college basketball fan. Then, amigos, you need to leave your radio and interwebs locked in right here because the Fan Upstate is your home for live coverage of every NCAA tournament game. That is right. We took you through rounds 1 and 2. We take you through round 3 in the Sweet 16. We got you covered for the Elite 8, the Final 4, and the National Championship game, all right here on the Fan Upstate. Ladies and gentlemen, you just stick the landing right here. Hang out with us because coming up this evening, we have got you covered for the Sweet 16. And what a Sweet 16 it is going to be. By the way, the Duke Blue Devils, you ready for a little fun? Ladies and gentlemen, here is a little fun. The Duke Blue Devils are a Vegas underdog tonight. Yes. Yes. The 2 seed is an underdog to the Texas Tech Red Raiders, my friends. They are an underdog tonight. Mike Krzyzewski. We asked the question, and I got to tell you, I am still, man, I'm glad I got to see Coach K take on Tom Izzo in person, and a phenomenal game between Duke and Michigan State at the Well last weekend. And I'm so glad that I spent my Sunday watching those two coaching legends strap it up one more time. Had a great time. The most common coaching matchup in NCAA tournament history is Krzyzewski and Izzo. And I got to see the last one of those in person. Phenomenal. But I'm still salty that Davidson got screwed by the refs in the second half of that Davidson-Michigan State game. Davidson got hammered by the refs. Anyway, we got a great matchup. Duke ends up knocking off Michigan State. They are on to the Sweet 16. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have got a really good one. Duke, Mike Krzyzewski might be is staring down the barrel, potentially, of his last game tonight when the Red Raiders of Texas Tech and the Blue Devils of Duke get it on at 9:39 this evening. And you better believe I will be jacked into that. Cannot wait. Schedule this evening, 7:09 p.m., number 4 Arkansas takes on number 1 Gonzaga. Then at 7:29, that game's on CBS, by the way, at 7:29 on TBS, the Wolverines of Michigan, the 11 seed, are up against the 2 seed of Villanova. 9:39 CBS, Texas Tech takes on Duke. And we wrap up tonight's action, game number 4, Houston taking on number 1 Arizona at 9:59, excuse me. And you can hear those games in our wraparound coverage right here on the Fan Upstate, ladies and gentlemen. So, what are the storylines tonight? What are the ones we got to keep an eye on? I'm going to tell you this. Duke coming into this tournament looks shaky, right? They look shaky. They had a really, really, really close game against Miami. By the way, Miami, the other team that escaped the Greenville Regional, that was big for them. Knocked off number 2 seed Auburn on the way, by the way. Thank you for one more bracket buster for me. Anyway, I got a lot of respect for Duke now. Paulo Banchero, for all the talk about Paulo Banchero coming into this and about whether he's the ACC Freshman of the Year, whether he's in, the NCAA Freshman of the Year, Paulo Banchero was clutch for Duke against Michigan State in the second round matchup. Duke is for real, okay? Duke is for real. I was talking with, I obviously knew a bunch of people who were at that game, and on the way out of the Well after that game on Sunday, as I was talking to a friend of mine, I said, this is really interesting because the Duke Blue Devils took Michigan State. That's a good Michigan State team. Took Michigan State's best shot flush on the jaw, and Tyson Fury their way through it. They took the best game that I think Michigan State has played all season long, took it flush, and then beat them. Not like eked out a win. I mean, down the stretch, beat them when it came down to it. Now, I said before the tournament, and I stick by this, I was glad Michigan State was here because I said, you know what? I get to see probably the annual NCAA Tom Izzo tournament collapse. There is one game in every tournament where Tom Izzo's team just forgets how to do a basketball late in the game. I don't think that's what happened here. Tom Izzo's team did not collapse down the stretch. Mike Krzyzewski's team beat them down the stretch. I mean, beat them. Duke is for real. During the regular season, Duke struggled with interior defense. One of the ways to beat the Blue Devils was to crowd them in the paint, right? To crowd the paint, make the Blue Devils more one-dimensional, make them play from the outside in, make guys like Banchero and Wendell Moore Jr. beat you outside of the arc. Problem is, Mark Williams, my dude has found something. The big man in the middle for Duke he was a shot-blocking machine for Duke on the interior in those two games. The absolute shot blocking machine. And took out Michigan State, took out Sparty, right? Didn't have much of a first round matchup to worry about with Cal State Fullerton, who was just frankly outgunned from top to bottom. But when Sparty came to town with Marble Jr. and those guys in the middle, the mid beef boys in the middle, Mark Williams found a different level. He found a different level, found a different gear. And oh, by the way, Duke could still score from the outside. I think Wendell Moore Jr. came off the bench in reserve in that game. And the Duke Blue Devils were able to work outside, but still force it to the inside. But keep an eye on Texas Tech, because this team is quick. They attack you. They swarm you. And Texas Tech, Michigan State was a beefy team. But the Red Raiders are a team of grown-ass men. I mean, grown men, ladies and gentlemen, with experience. This is a team of guys that have been here for a minute. Team of guys that have played together. I'm not ready to say that Duke gets bounced tonight because, again, the Duke that I saw last Sunday at the Well take on Michigan State, that's a respectable Duke team. That's a good Duke team. But Texas Tech they're an older team. They are one of the oldest teams, the most experienced teams in this bracket. They are a physical team. Michigan State was beefy, but they aren't the most physical team that Duke saw. This is. They're a physical team, and they are a team that is going to swarm you. They are not afraid of you. They're not afraid of you attacking them from any point in the floor. They will not crowd the paint like Michigan State did and allowed Duke to work outside in and open the floor up for Mark Williams. They are not afraid to defend you anywhere on the floor and trust their defense is good enough to stop you. If Coach K wins tonight, it is his 100th NCAA tournament win. If he does not win tonight, he leaves the game stuck on 99. Watch out for this one. This one could be really good. Really good. Texas Tech and Duke, I think is going to be a phenomenal game. And again, you'll hear wraparound coverage of all four games. Number 4, Arkansas versus Gonzaga at 7:09. Number 11, Michigan versus 2 seed Villanova, 7:29. Number 3, Texas Tech taking on number 2, Duke at 9:39. And number 5, Houston versus Arizona, the 1 seed out of that bracket at 9:59. And you'll hear wraparound coverage of those 4 games here and only here on the Fan Upstate. Jacked about that. Also, coming up tonight, Team USA soccer on the men's side taking on Mexico down at Stadio Azteca down in Mexico City, Mexico. Yesterday, I was geeked about this game. I'm still geeked about this game. It's US-Mexico. There's not much in soccer that I like more than putting the L in El Tri. Love beating them. That's a rivalry. Except for I'm kind of interested because Greg Berhalter was asked about this game, and Greg Berhalter said effectively that he was considering running out a B squad against Mexico. Said he ran it by his whole staff. He said, we want to win all 3 games. We're going to put a team on the field in Mexico that is going to try and win the game. But he was asked if that means he might run a B squad, and he did not dismiss that. He said, quote, I think it was an important exercise for us to do. We came out with our answer, and you'll see tomorrow. Certainly, there's no harm in looking at both sides of this thing. Our record here is horrendous. The odds are against us getting something out of this game. We know that. We realize that. That's just how it is, and we're focused on going in and being difficult to play against. End quote. Stop it, Greg. Stop it. You run out the A team, and you go to Mexico, and you get 3 points. I understand how important it is. I understand how important it is to be healthy for Panama on a short turnaround. I understand how important it is with Panama in 4th. Remember, top 3 teams in our hex end up moving on to the World Cup. Panama's in 4th right now. I understand how important it is to not only take those points away from Panama, but make them come out of it with a 0. I get it. The U.S. and Mexico have 21 points. Both trail Canada with 25. Panama is in 4th with 17. 3 in this window, very possible that Panama could catch Mexico or the United States and leap them in CONCACAF qualifying. I'm going to say this. If Panama jumps the United States and takes the 3rd spot in the window and sends the Americans into a play-in game to move in to the World Cup, I will be infuriated. I will be infuriated. Do not go down to the CONCACAF rivals. Do not go down to the biggest rivalry that we have. Do not go down to Mexico, run out a B squad, and get us beat to turn around and go, oh, well, we'll beat Panama. It's not a guarantee we beat Panama. That's our rival. Do not screw around with this. Go down and kick their asses with the best team we have. If that's not the attitude you have as the head coach, I don't want you as my head coach. It's that simple. Forget the tactics, forget the roster build. If your attitude isn't go to their house and beat them up in their house during the most important 3 games in U.S. soccer in 5 years, if your attitude isn't go down there and beat them up in their own house, I don't want you in charge of my team.
Yeah, I agree. You have to, as a coach, that's what your job is. You're supposed to go down there and, kick butt and kick butt and chew bubble gum. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I 100% agree.
Look, here's the deal, man. These games are critical. These last 3 games are critical. These last 3 games determine if we stay in the top 3 and move on to the World Cup. They are absolutely critical, okay? Do not go in with 3 games left and go, effectively, we're going to forfeit this one to make sure we're good to win the second one. Here's an idea. Go win this one, jump up 3 points on Mexico, and make Mexico have to focus on Panama. Put the ball in Mexico's court and make Mexico look over their shoulder at Panama. Mexico's a good team. There's no doubt about it. They're a good team. But if I turn on this game tonight at 10 p.m., if I turn on this game at 10 p.m. tonight and I see the B-side trot out, I've already been very iffy, very shaky on Greg Berhalter's future as the manager of the U.S. men's national team. But if I see the Americans trot out a B team and effectively be willing to forfeit this game to focus on Panama instead of focus on putting Mexico in the rearview mirror in their house and taking away a home 3 points from them, I'll be furious. Back after this with Paul Wight from All Elite Wrestling right here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Just roll commercials. ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. The Rob Brown Show on your radio. I am Rob Brown, the great one Lonzo on the other side of the glass, and we are very, very happy to be joined now by a guy that I know I say this kind of stuff a lot, like goes computer. I have been watching this young man since I was a young man. I have watched various iterations of him in different organizations, and he has always remained one of my favorite superstars to watch in the game. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome Paul Wight to the show, AEW superstar, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show. Paul, my man, great to have you, buddy. Thanks for taking a few minutes.
Hey, thank you guys very, very much for having me. It's funny. I was listening to you saying, like, young man. I'm like, well, that's a lie. And there you go.
It's, and again, I guess that's the longevity, man. Like you've been around this business a very long time. Lonzo and I are both lifelong fans. We've both been watching for a very long time. And for a guy like the Big Show, like Paul Wight, like the Giant, who's been through so much and through so many organizations, to now not just still be in the game, Paul, but to be in a position of impact like you are with All Elite Wrestling. What's that like for you to have not just had a career in this business, but to be able to span that length of time and continue to be in an impact position in the business?
Well, first of all, I'd have to humbly say I'm probably the luckiest guy on the planet to have the career that I've had to span as many decades as I've spanned my career, and to work with the talents I've worked with, from Hogan to Savage to Flair to Arn to John Cena, Rock, Stone Cold, Undertaker, everybody, and now moving on through into AEW and getting a chance to work with some incredible talents here. Hopefully work with Kenny Omega, some of the younger talent that we have in AEW. It's a very fortunate position to be in. But one of my main goals has always been is to wrestle, is to be where it's happening. You know, I've never been a guy to sit back on my butt and talk about accolades or things like that. I'm like, what's today? What's tomorrow? I'm still having fun doing this. I'm still, like you, I'm still a fan. So I tend to move where the action is hot. And right now, AEW, for true pro wrestling fans, serves up that best product right now. It's been incredible to see just so many different expressive talents in AEW getting an opportunity to grow and make that connection with the audience.
So Paul, I used to be on a different show, and they were doing a bracket, or we were doing a bracket of the most famous athletes in South Carolina. And the host is like, well, I need another name. And I said, Paul Wight. And he's like, I don't know who that is. Well, he's kind of lame because he doesn't know who that is. And I think you know this, and anyone who's listening knows this. This is wrestling country here in the upstate of South Carolina. So what was it like? Because if you don't know, he's from Aiken. Yeah. What was it like going from Aiken to being literally the biggest star in the world?
It's been a crazy journey. Like, just sit and think about it. I mean, I was making a joke this morning. I'm a small town kid from New Holland, South Carolina. I was born in Aiken. Lived in Aiken for a while. Basically grew up in New Holland outside of Wagner. Former high school, went to King Academy at Batesburg, Leesville. I've been all over the world, from Japan to Egypt to South Africa, Australia, China. To be a small town kid from South Carolina, to travel to these places that I only saw in books when I was a kid or saw on TV, to actually have been there. It's a very fortunate position that I've been in. I make the joke, that song, I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. Well, I have. I've been everywhere. But, you know, I give a lot of credit to my work ethic and staying active and staying aggressive and humble in our business and our industry, because it's a business that does require a lot of humility. Even though it's an entertainment industry, humility is an important factor, because a lot of times you're on shows and it's not about you. It's about making other talent. It's about bringing up other talent. It's about helping the program as a whole grow, whatever program you're a part of. So a lot of that comes from the upbringing in South Carolina, with that humility, I think, helped a lot in my career.
So I want to talk a little bit about that, Paul. You know, I've been on AEW. I actually lived in Jacksonville when AEW was getting started, so I was there for some of the first few shows. I have been very happy to watch its growth and its progress. And one of the things that I have credited that to as a fan is that this is an organization that knows how to utilize its biggest names in the business but also to prop up the next generation. We have talked to Matt Hardy. We have talked to Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. We have talked to Lance Archer. We have talked to a number of other AEW stars, and all of them have said something in common, which is we are here for growth too. We are here to have the next generation. As a guy who has got the longevity that you do, the star power that you do, the history that you do, how important is it for you and how important is it for the continued growth of AEW to make sure that these young guys like Danhausen and Orange Cassidy, et cetera, continue to be built up as superstars to be that next generation?
Well, there's no set formula. You know, I'm asked by a lot of younger talent all the time, what does it take to succeed? There's no set formula. The only condition that really matters is making a connection with that audience and having the time and the platform to make that connection. And with AEW, you know, with the TNT TV deal and TBS and stuff that AEW is doing, we're branching in a lot of different countries. Our shows are really starting to grow. I mean, we're only a few years old, but the growth potential, I try to tell the young kids to be patient, keep steady, keep doing what they're doing, because as AEW grows, so will their popularity. And the main thing for them is to, when they step through that curtain, they walk down that ramp, they get in that ring, is to maintain everything they're doing, is to make that connection with the audience. If you're going to be a bad guy, you know, be a bad guy that makes a connection with the audience. If you're going to be a good guy, make that connection, because without the audience, you can't separate yourself. You have to be unique. You have to be different. And out of all the billions of people on this planet, you know, there's literally maybe out of all the wrestling companies involved that have TV contracts and worldwide exposure and internet exposure and whatnot, you maybe have 120, 130 talents that are featured weekly. I'm talking about on from WWE to AEW to ROH to everyone else involved. It's a real small percentage of people that are successful. You can't look at your career and say, oh, I'm going to be like so-and-so. I'm going to be the next John Cena, or I'm going to be the next Kenny Omega. You have to be the next you, and you have to keep that individual and whatever it takes for you. And there's no set formula. There's no set path. There's no blueprint on how to do it. It's about consistency and making that connection. So being a part of AEW, they give those athletes a chance to be authentic. And I think that's the one thing that I really admire about AEW. The top of my list is the chance that talent's authentic. When they have a promo in AEW, they have a promo. There's not 25 writers in the back that wrote what that character that they've created should say. The AEW talent are creating their own characters. Look at Abaddon. You know, Abaddon's one of our female competitors who created this zombie type character. I absolutely love her character. I love her story. She created this thing in small independent shows, and she's worked her way through and created a personality on AEW that is distinctive and unique, and she gets a response from the audience. She gets over. That's someone that you ask about success. You know what I mean? Because that's somebody that never gave up and created their own identity. And I think AEW right now gives the athletes the best opportunity to create that identity and create that future to pull in fans, you know, for decades to come.
You were around for the Monday Night Wars. Are we heading there again? And is that a good thing for wrestling?
I think competition is always an excellent thing for professional wrestling. I think anybody that's in this business would agree that competition motivates you in the locker room. Competition between different brands also motivates you. Now, understand, I know there's a lot of talk about Monday Night Wars and stuff like that. I think at this point in time, anything that gets the fans excited to tune in and watch the product is a good thing. And that's the thing that's special for wrestling this time. There are different options now. With all the social media platforms and devices and streaming devices and whatnot, the fans have access pretty much anytime. Like back in the day, you had to set your DVR because you had to either watch Nitro or you had to watch Raw. And sometimes you could flip back and forth with the channels. And now there are so many devices to catch your favorite programming or to watch all of it. And then you can have the debate with your friends on which product you like better. But they're two distinctly different products. I think, you know, WWE is always going to be that more storyline, soap opera driven type wrestling with high productions and all the effort that they put into character backstage promos and development. And then AEW, we're kind of cut and dry to the point. Our characters that talk are guys that have important things to say. And a lot of the stuff we do is right in the middle of the ring. I mean, you go out and you watch a kid like Dante Martin compete, or Ray Phoenix. You see these guys in the ring, and I've never seen anything like Ray Phoenix or Dante Martin. I've been around a long time, and I've seen some of the best high flyers ever, and I've never seen anything like Dante Martin and Ray Phoenix. They're compelling to watch, and it's different. It's a different style, and it's a different type of program we offer at AEW, and that's great for the fans because now the fans have the opportunity to choose. More the merrier. When you're only given one product, no matter how good that product may be, it doesn't give room for growth. You know what I mean? It becomes very isolated. And that's the one thing about AEW. There's so many different characters. There's so many different ways to express. There's so many options to have fans find a character that they connect with. Whether it's MJF, who is like the little prick you want to wring his neck, his Burberry scarf, or, you see a guy like, Bryan Danielson, who goes out there and just tears the house down with some of the best technical wrestling going today. I defy you to find a better in-ring technical wrestler today than Bryan Danielson. And I would never say that in front of him to his face, obviously. Obviously, Bryan Danielson gave me my shortest title reign ever. I think when I beat Mark Henry, my title reign was all like 10 seconds. So there's still a lot of heat between Mighty Mouse and I. I'm just letting you know. So, I think that Bryan Danielson is a bully. That's a joke, actually.
No,
yeah,
I was going to say, I'm not going to say that to his face either.
No, don't. He has this thing of come up behind giants and trying to choke them out. So I always have to be real nervous at AEW that creepy little monster is running around behind me trying to choke me out. It makes my life in AEW a little bit nerve-wracking. Like if I go to Carrigan, I have to put my back to a wall just to make sure I don't have, that cretin try to choke me out.
We had
like, well, you're so big, like you can't get away from it.
We had Mark Henry on the show about a month and a half ago, and he said the same thing. So I'm glad to know the consistency's there.
Well, that's the thing about Bryan Danielson. He picks on bigger guys. Like Mark Henry and I are very nice people. We're not bullies. We're very kind. And, when you walk by Bryan Danielson, he just grits his teeth and his eyes get all crazy. And it's like, you can tell he's looking to try to dismantle you. And you're like, look, buddy, like, I just want to get a water from the cooler. I don't want any trouble. I just, Mark Henry and I will sit over there and get dehydrated because we're scared to go to the water cooler to get a water. Bryan Danielson's there. He's looking to stretch a big guy.
I love the idea of two of the largest men I have ever seen in sports sitting in the corner, afraid of.
You go. I'm not
TV.
going.
That's
you
great.
go. Yeah.
By the way,
go get the water this time.
Yeah,
he's going to stretch me. No, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it.
All Elite Wrestling is in Columbia, South Carolina on March 30th. Tickets are available still at allelitewrestling.com or AEWTix.com. Lonzo and I will both be there. We got a few more minutes here with Paul Wight from All Elite Wrestling. Paul, you have had many different variations of you. We've seen the Big Show. We've seen Paul Wight. We've seen the Giant. We've seen it all. Honestly, is it more fun to be the face of the heel? Is it more fun to be the sympathetic figure like you were with the Authority angle a number of years ago? Is it more fun to be the wrecking ball like you were in a number of factions earlier in your career? Is it more fun to come out like you did when you made your debut at AEW and be a face that the fans are behind? If you got to pick, what is your preference?
It's funny. I love all of those. I think what suits my presence and size is when I'm a bad guy, when I'm a heel in our business. It's an easier story to tell in the ring wrestling because we've all seen David and Goliath. We all understand, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog and all that other motivational stuff that sinks in with us on a deep psychological level. Like people understand overcoming big obstacles, whether it's hurdles in our life. And, even through evolution, we've had to evolve and overcome hurdles. So seeing a physical representation of that in the ring, portraying a character that is not necessarily popular, it's a much easier pendulum to swing as a talent. It's a little harder to get sympathy. It's a little harder to, as a performer, to create a story in which you're vulnerable, or a smaller guy can get you in a vulnerable position, physically. So it's a harder story to tell. I think personally, I like doing the more interactive, fun stuff where the energy is high. I've been lucky enough to be able to keep a job for a long time because I've been versatile. I think it's a jack of all trades, master of none. The versatility has kept me around for a long time, but Tony Khan and I have some pretty fun stuff coming up in the future that him and I put together. So we've actually secured the rights to Captain Insano. So we
All
are
right.
going to break out. Captain Insano will be coming out in the next couple months. So that's why I've kind of toned down a little bit on the in-ring performing as well. We're kind of let that settle and just doing the commentary. I'm getting wardrobe put together now for the outfits. And Max Dunbar, who's an incredible comic book design guy, helped draw the outfit up for Captain Insano. We're getting that made now. And then before you know it, Captain Insano is going to be running wild in AEW, dude. So, and I'm probably going to rip poor Terry off. But, I hopefully, he discovered me. Hopefully he'll give me a pass. As long as I don't drop too many copyrighted phrases, I think I'll be okay with
I'll tell you,
that's pretty amazing.
We've broken a lot of stuff on this show. That might be the greatest thing I've ever gotten to break on this show.
Well, hopefully the fans will be excited about it. And for me, it's just a chance to have fun and really apply a different character. The Captain Insano character is just going to have a lot more energy, a lot more enthusiasm from A to Z. So definitely when Captain Insano hits the scene, the party's going to be lit. So to steal a term from the younger generation.
Wow. Can't wait to see it.
I'm looking to have a lot of fun. Like I've got a luxurious cake too. So
all right.
I'm super excited.
You got to have a luxurious cake.
Let's go.
It's all about having a character and having fun with. And let's face it, Paul Wight, the person, isn't the most exciting slug on the planet. I'm a very calm individual. I hardly watch TV. I read a lot of books. I'm kind of a giant nerd. But the chance to express a lot of that positive energy with Captain Insano, I think it'd be fun for the kids. I think it'd be fun for those that remember.
It's going to be fun for the 37-year-old men, Paul. It's going to be fun for the 37-year-old men.
Yeah, hopefully we'll expand that audience a little bit, have some fun with it. Just basically have fun with a lunatic character. So I'm really looking forward to that challenge. So this is kind of a unique step at this stage in the game to take this kind of chance, but I believe in the opportunity in AEW, and it's if it sinks or fails, it's all going to be on my shoulders because there's nobody writing anything for me. So fingers crossed, we're going to have a lot of fun with it.
All right, so I'm looking at all my questions. I'm having trouble following that. But all right, so back in the day, we talked about Mark Henry being on. We asked him about his eating regimen back when he was in the world's strongest man competition. You in your prime, Mark Henry in his prime, you sit down at a buffet. Who pushes away from the table first?
Oh, Mark. Mark Henry will.
Wow.
Yeah. In my prime, dude, I was a quarter ton of fun for a reason. You know what I mean? Like I weighed 500 pounds because I could crush food like in a way that I'm glad I don't eat like that anymore. I've changed my eating habits and changed my exercise habits. But I don't think there was anybody back in the day that would sit down and at my biggest. I would do insane stuff like 3 double Whoppers with cheese. I get a fish sandwich. I get fries. I get a shake. I get onion rings. I get a Coke. And then I get one of those Hershey pies too. So, I mean, that was just lunch. You go to Waffle House and it's 3 double quarter cheeses with, hash browns with these scattered, smothered, and covered, bowl of Burt's chili. And then I would have a double chocolate chip waffle. Not pecan, chocolate chip. Because if you ask nicely,
my guy,
chocolate chips
my guy. Paul gets it, ladies and gentlemen. Paul gets it.
But there was a reason, though, you ate like that, and that was what you became used to. I mean, like, that whole drink a gallon of milk challenge and people would barf. No, that wasn't a problem back in the day.
Paul out here crushing the TikTok kids. I love it.
But again, those weren't healthy eating habits. I mean, right now, I think my daughter can out eat me right now. I eat like a cupcake now. I'll have some grilled chickens and salad. Like, I don't crush it anymore. And
Paul Wight.
Wait. I gotta
some experimentation.
I gotta ask, Captain Insano going to have the hair back though? I mean,
brother, hey, you know what? I'm good. I'm a pretty talented guy. I'm really capable of getting into character, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't have the acting ability to make my hair grow back. It's just, we're going to do, Captain Insano is a little bit more involved. He's cut the hair for more of a streamlined headbutt approach.
I respect
So,
it.
you know,
I respect it.
I don't know what kind of BS I just said right there.
Yeah, it worked. It worked.
You know,
Paul Wight from All
trust
Elite
me, I
Wrestling.
miss that long mane and luxurious hair too. The only thing now is that instead of spending money on shampoo and conditioner, I spend it on beard shampoo and beard conditioner. So there you go.
Respect the beard game. Paul Wight from All Elite Wrestling. All Elite Wrestling is in Columbia at the Colonial Life Center on the 30th of March. Lonzo and I are going to be there. Paul, we got about a minute left. Real quick on the way out the door, what's it going to be like for you to be able to get back in front of folks in South Carolina from the homeland? What's it mean for you to be able to bring All Elite Wrestling to your hometown?
I'm proud. I'm very proud. I'm really hoping that a lot of the fans will come out and experience AEW and see the difference. Myself, I'm talking to Tony Khan. I can't exactly go book myself, but I'm trying real hard to get a little match going so I can at least wrestle in my hometown in Columbia. So I'm looking forward to competing that night. I mean, if not, I'll definitely be there doing elevation, doing commentary with my best friend Mark Henry and Tony Schiavone, of course. And we've got some incredible action. I would like to say one little shout out for our company and AEW, and I'd like to congratulate our new women's champion, Thunder Rosa. She's had a fantastic, hard-fought journey. She's one of the most incredible. Melissa's one of the most incredible talents that I've had a chance to work with in many, many years. Just her dedication to her community involvement and her commitment to her in-ring performance has been amazing, and to see her fight big and earn that women's championship, much respect to her. Like,
Love to hear it.
That belt looks good too.
It does. It does. Paul Wight.
Championship. I still can't call it a belt. I still can't do it. I know it's cool, but to me, I'm old school. It's not a belt. A belt holds up your trousers. It's a championship or a title.
Paul, will you just come on weekly and explain these things to people for us, please? Can we just make a weekly spot if Paul sets it straight?
It's like, you know, when people call a fraternity a frat, you know, it's like, you know, it's a fraternity. Like,
oh no, he said the word.
Which, by the way, Paul,
by taking away from something, by giving it a slang term, you're diminishing. And to me, a championship, why would you ever diminish a championship and call it a belt? It's not a belt. It's not a strap.
Lonzo will never make that mistake again.
I won't
never
do it again. But you said frat, so now he's getting
by the
excited.
way, Paul Wight, I would like to inform you, I also am a member of the Tau Kappa Epsilon fraternity. So a salute from
you're a teak. So
I am a teak.
You're a teak.
Yes, sir.
Oh, there you go.
Yes, sir. I remember when I got in and they were running us through initiation, and they're going through the list of famous teaks, and they went Paul Wight, and I went, I'm a fraternity brother of Paul Wight. I have done something with my life.
Yeah, that's funny. So you get the saying about call it a frat.
That's it. That's it.
It's just about respect, and that's one of the things, because I go way back to Ric Flair back in the day in WCW. He talked about being the world heavyweight champion. He talked about the world heavyweight championship. Like, when Ric Flair talked about a championship, it seemed much more than it was. It seemed like whether it was the NWA championship, he just talked about it with such reverence and respect that it meant more when he carried it, and it meant more if someone beat him for it. So the newer slang, and I know the kids have a lot of cooler words now and stuff, and they call stuff straps and belts, and I guess if something's good, it's cap. I guess that's the new one. Like, dude, I'm clueless sometimes. Like, I mean, like I've tried to talk to some of the younger talent in AEW, and half the time I'm like, I need a dictionary because I don't know what they're saying. So
weekly segment. Paul Wight joins us to read UrbanDictionary.com. I'm here for it.
Yes. I mean, I'm all for it. I'm all for keeping up with the times. I love it. It's like, I mean, I still use the word groovy, which people don't get groovy. I like groovy because groovy is so many things. Because if it's a good day, it's groovy. Even if it's a crappy day, it's like,
it's groovy. Paul Wight.
But what do I know?
The legendary Paul Wight here on the Rob Brown Show. Again, AEW is hosting a show March 30th at Colonial Life Arena in Columbia, South Carolina. Tickets available at AEWTix.com. Lonzo and I will both be there and very much looking forward to it. Paul, it has been a pleasure, my friend. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for the time, pal.
Thank you very much, brother. And I will check you guys later. I'll see you guys at 30th.
Made my day. See you there. That is Paul Wight from All Elite Wrestling. We are back after this on the Rob Brown Show. Say by my friends at Prisma Health, ladies and gentlemen. Prisma Health wants to make healthcare convenient, easy to you, but they also want to make sure that you know you can trust them with your healthcare for you and your family. That's why they're official healthcare providers of the Gamecocks of South Carolina and the Tigers of Clemson want to offer you the exact same service, the exact same care, the exact same resources that they offer to those two universities. If you find yourself in need of healthcare, if you find yourself in a spot where you need orthopedic care, where you need psychiatric care, whether you need care during or after the fight against cancer, Prisma Health is there for you with convenient locations located all over the upstate. They have got you covered, ladies and gentlemen. You want to find out more? Go to prismahealth.org. Prismahealth.org. It's our friends at Prisma Health right here in the upstate.
That must have been really hard.
Yeah. All right, stream, we're back. Let's see. Yes, it is amazing. And I'm going to be putting that up later. But in case you missed it, Paul Wight just announced that Captain Insano is coming to AEW. Like you needed another reason. Captain Insano, brother. Yes. So I'm going to put the actual Keegan later on. I had to cut that down because we did like 30 minutes with Paul Wight. And I'm going to put the full interview, StreamYard interview, the actual video of the interview up on YouTube later and then post it to our social media. And you'll get to see when I told him he was a frat brother of mine and he found out when that laugh he made, he like fell back in his chair. It was amazing. So I'm gonna play that video later on. Trey, I would also love if we could get Paul Wight on League. I doubt that's gonna happen, but he did say after the interview, he was like, that was one of the most fun interviews we've done in a long time. I would love to come back. So we'll have Paul Wight on again in the future. Tayshawn says New York City just left the COVID-19 mandate, so athletes and performers can play. Does that mean Kyrie's off the hook now? Yes, it does. Kyrie can go back to burning sage and talking about how the earth is flat. Starting, what is it? I think next Tuesday. I think Tuesday Kyrie can go back, which means the Nets will have him back full time. That's exactly what that means.
Software provides American businesses with easy, cloud-based, premium accounting software and full-service payroll for up to 100 employees. Business owners love the simplicity, the price, and our U.S.-based support. And love the powerful capabilities. Check out our nearly perfect 5 out of 5-star ratings. Keep your time and money.
Sure, I can tell you all about why you should buy a pool from Aqua Blue Pools. There are lots of reasons. Like they've been in business satisfying customers since 1977. They were awarded Best Pool Builder of the Year by voters in Greenville News. Their design specialist.
I got to stand up.
On design and construction, And they have a huge selection and incredible financing options.
How much time we got left in this break?
We have about 45 seconds,
Okay.
50 seconds or so.
Okay. And we need to roll the music at 52:45. So yeah, it's literally going to be. In fact, you can probably just let the bumper ride.
Mm-hmm.
Load it in there twice in case I overtalk it.
I got you.
Kyrie didn't beat COVID. He outweighted COVID.
Navien tankless water heaters, the proven leader in condensing technology. Request a Navien because you deserve the best in endless hot water delivery. Learn about Navien's condensing tankless water heaters and find a Navien contractor at tanklessmadesimple.com.
Hey, Upstate, Jim Rome here. Welcome to the jungle today at noon. Only on
All right,
the
coming
Fan
back.
Upstate.
All right, kids, that's it for us here on the show. Texter says, fan, not all fratties are D-bags. Good to know. I mean, Paul White, not Rob. Rob's still a D-bag. Thank you, Texter. That's why I leave the text line open. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us. Jim Rome in the Jungle is up next. Mark Ryan with Offsides after that. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Get us on the social media at The Fan Upstate on Facebook and Twitter. Follow me on social media at The Rob Brown Show. We'd love to have you. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again, break down that U.S. soccer game and the first 4 games of the Sweet 16. We're back tomorrow right here on the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. All right, stream. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you.